in. Come on in. Come on in. Not come on in. Not come. Sorry, y'all. Y'all know I'm weird. Whatever.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondy Blue. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondy Blue. Okay, follow me on Instagram and let's get into the video. Right?
Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your girl Bondy Blue, and I am back for another Now That We're Grown review. Y'all, we're about to get into The Color Purple. I have been wanting to do this review ever since I started listening to the audiobook. And I just cannot wait to get into it. Make sure y'all like the video as y'all come into the room. Make sure y'all share the video. And we're going to just go ahead and get into it. Hey, everybody. I see all y'all in the comments. What's going on? Okay. Hold up. All right. Hi. Hi, everybody. Look, let's get this the way I want it to look. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into The Color Purple, y'all, because I feel like we may be here for a little while. Okay. So I read the book, listened to the audio book, and I feel like there are definitely going to be moments where we get into the comparisons of what was seen in the movie versus what was in the book, because I feel like the book is so much deeper and so much more prevalent, and it's really kind of a shame that they left out some of the key things in the movie, because I feel like movies like this really do add to our overall culture and understanding of ourselves and of Black people, and I think it affects the way we see ourselves. And so there is a part of this book where Alice Walker specifically shows the dimensions, the gray areas, the relationships that aren't status quo, the people that don't keep the same energy their entire damn lives. You know what I'm saying? Like Mr. or Harpo or, Sophia. There's so many, different personality types in The Color Purple. And all of these people had time and space to grow, to age, for life to affect them in a way that I think is more realistic to what life really is, but nobody wants to talk about it. Like, people want to act like all relationships are black and white, cut and dry, man and woman, that's it. But The Color Purple really shows you how throughout time our relationships with people shift and change, and how we can still be around for one another, be what we need for one another at different times. And this is something that is very much, I think, something we need to think about and something we need to start having conversations about, because I think there's a difference between the way we project our relationships to the world and what is actually happening in those relationships. And I feel like because we want to protect ourselves, we want to protect our relationships from other people's opinions, we're not honest about how those relationships really move and how they take place in our lives. And so there's a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, all of this shit. But let's go ahead and get into it, all right? So at the very beginning of the movie, we hear Nettie and Celie playing Makidada before we see them running in the field of purple flowers. Black kids running wild and free on their own land, which is such a huge thing for me. I don't know why, but there's something about seeing Black children, whether they are teenagers like in Just Another Girl on the IRT, or young kids like they were, or young kids like in Eve's Bayou, where they're able to like run and be free in a way that I feel like we're scared to allow our children to do in this time. In 2023, it is probably scarier for people to let their children out into, the neighborhood to go run around, depending on where they live, for fear that something will happen to them. And we don't have huge plots of land for the children to just run wild. You know what I'm saying? So it's just moments like this always, I appreciate them. I appreciate seeing moments like this because yes, the frolicking of it all, the freedom of it all, it's really not given to the black kids like that, y'all. The freedom is not given to the black kids like that. We're either scared of the black kids or scared that the black kids are going to get hurt by somebody, like always. So this freedom is very, like, I love it, so me and you us never part. Ooh, my key da da. Ain't no ocean, ain't no sea. My key da. Come on, y'all know we was on this at a very young age, girl. And then they're running around with these huge sunflowers, being kids. And then what's revealed is the opposite of that, which was so striking to me. You know what I'm saying? Like the first thing you see when she, reveals herself, Celie, is this big old belly. A minute ago, we thought we were watching two young girls playing in a field. And now we're seeing that one of those young girls is big and pregnant. And the juxtaposition of that is so striking to me. And then, it is. Like, it's such a, like, what the fuck? Like, it's one of those moments in real life and like in the imagery of the film, the way she, presents herself and kind of leans back and the big old belly and, kind of the way you would see an older woman leaning back. But this is a young girl, a child that was just running in this field a second ago. Like she did not have a baby sitting on her bladder. It is insane. Okay. So we see a very pregnant Celie, and then their daddy comes to bring them back to the house for supper. Her daddy tells her that she has the ugliest smile this side of creation. Why is that necessary? Why is that necessary? Why is it necessary to tell her when you come in to tell her to come and eat that she has the ugliest smile this side of creation? Why would you ever say that to a child? I want people to understand how the way we talk to each other has a huge effect on how we feel about ourselves. And everybody likes to act like, the dozens. And it's, it's all good. And it's like, but is it though? Or does it come from this place where you're actually fucked up? You're actually mean. You're actually trying to hurt a person. You're actually trying to degrade them and bring them down. Like you're actually trying to hurt them. And you say things like, you have the ugliest smile this side of creation. So what does Celie do for the rest of the film until Suge Avery forces her to put her hands down and look at her smile? She covers her smile. Exactly. Especially when you humping on her. And I feel like that was to try to distract. Like if I call her ugly in front of everybody, or if I'm always talking down on her, two things are happening. First, I feel less guilty about what I've done to her. And second of all, it makes everybody think I would never touch her because I view her as so ugly, which we know is a lie. So then in winter 1909, Celie gives birth. And her daddy comes in after her younger sister, helps her give birth to this baby. The dad comes to bring, I'm sorry, y'all. Notes got mixed up. Okay, here we go. Her dad takes the baby from her arms and tells her she better not tell nobody but God. It'll kill her mama. It'll kill her mama. So you have sex with this woman's daughter, get her pregnant twice, and then you put the guilt on her not to let anybody know. What do you think is going to happen, sir? What do you think is going to happen when the pregnant teenager is walking around and everybody knows this specific teenager don't like boys like that? Because it's so prevalent today, y'all. It's something that's still being done today. You grape juice somebody, and then you put the onus on them to protect you from your actions. Like, it's insane. Did I get it? Did I get it? I don't think I got it. Y'all, in that season is gonna drive me crazy. Anyway, so at 14, she has 2 kids for her daddy, a boy named Adam and a girl named Olivia. And she says that her mom did die. Her mom died screaming and from a broken heart. Did she? Or was she sickly and stressed out like a lot of the women were during this time? I don't know if y'all paying attention, but if you read the book, the women are often sick. The women are often sick. They're not taken care of. They're worked very hard. And then when they get sick, people say shit like they got that nasty woman's disease. Like, you can't even be sick. Okay? But of course, another thing was that Celie's mom blamed her. Celie's mom blamed her for the man that you married in your daughters. Or were trying to fuck both of your daughters and only in one of them. But you blame Celie, the 14-year-old, because she was supposed to fight off her daddy. Girl, it's insane. And it's still so much so much prevalent, so prevalent today. Like, this shit still happens. We still have these conversations. We still talk, you know what I'm saying? See these videos online of women blaming their children and their daughters for the way they, like, you know, boyfriends or whatever are looking at them, y'all. Like, that's still happening. That is insane. Because this is, you know, a book that was written in the 80s, but set in the damn 1900s. These stories very much are prevalent throughout time. And I just wonder when the attitude towards it is going to change. You know, like, the overall attitude towards these things has changed. You know, like, it's illegal now for y'all to be in relationships with girls that young. Back in the day, that wasn't illegal and it was expected. But nowadays, like, we still have these relationships between mothers and their daughters as some type of competition, you know, and I hate that. Like, how many books do we need to write? How many movies do you need to see? How many examples of this do y'all need to see before y'all realize how problematic the idea that the victim is responsible? Like, that's such a problematic theme. So Celie writes to God. She writes to God how he look at her like he can't stand her no more, but he's staring Nettie down. Oh, y'all, my notes just popped off. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, precious. Right. Like, what the fuck? I'm sorry. My notes just disappeared for some reason. Anyway, like I was saying, Celie tells Nettie she will protect her. And then he come home with the girl from town called Gray. Gray is 13. And now they're married. Mr. looking at Nettie now, his wife. Mr. looking at Nettie now. His wife got killed by her boyfriend coming home from church. Not every Sunday, here come Mr. He wants to marry Nettie. He needs somebody to watch his children. He got a farm to look after. Okay? So let's talk about that for a second. Mr., aka Albert, his wife, he didn't want to marry his wife. He was always in love with Suge Avery, but his daddy did not want him to marry Suge Avery. So even though he had 3 kids with Suge Avery, who her parents raised, the daddy felt like, she's not good enough. You can't marry my son. Honestly, I feel like the daddy was a cock blocker. I like to just keep it a buck. You know, talking about how Suge Avery, they didn't like her mama, so they don't like, it's just a whole bunch of bullshit. But just always giving people a hard time when they choose who they want to be with. And Albert and Suge had chose each other from a young age. They were crazy about each other, a lot of sexual chemistry, you know, but he was weak, she said. And what that meant was, you let your daddy tell you who you can marry. You let your daddy dictate how you were going to live your life. You let your daddy convince you not to marry me, even though you feel how you feel about me. That's weak. And honestly, I have seen that so much in my life, y'all. Like, and this is why I think a lot of energy is a lot of negative attention, or they look at women pulling men in this way in such a negative manner. Like, I don't know why they do this. I guess because parents always want to be able to control their children, and whenever the person that they fall in love with or have sexual chemistry with at a young age, whenever that person comes into the situation, it is now taking away the parents' control over the kids, because the love and the hormones that they feel is so much deeper. Right? It controls them on a physical, mental, and emotional level. So the control that the parents try to have kind of goes out of the window. So I always wonder if they don't want these relationships that seem so strong at an early age, because they don't want to lose control of their children. Like, that's what it feels like to me. But it's like a natural part of life to get swept up. You know what I'm saying? To fall in love at a young age, like allowing that. I mean, you don't, especially in 2023, you don't want these girls getting pregnant by these niggas and losing their mind over them and all of that, of course. But it was expected for the girls to do it. It was expected for the girls to lose their mind over, a man and finding some boy to get pregnant by and marry and all of that. That's okay. But when the boys do it, it's a problem. And I feel like and I experienced this growing up. I feel like whenever a young man like really is into a woman, and you can tell, and not a woman, but a girl. I'll say a girl, because for me, it was a girl. Okay. I really feel like when I was growing up, my boyfriend, when I was growing up, we had like the craziest chemistry growing up. Like, we would literally be making out on his parents' porch. Like, we were like 14 and all of that. But I remember how much his mom did not like me. And it always felt like, why though? Like, I'm on the same level as your son. I'm not no fast tail girl. Like, your son de-virginized me, ma'am. Okay. So like, I don't know why you don't like me. Okay, but this part reminds me of that. And I'm always wondering why that is. It's like y'all don't want to lose control, and y'all see somebody that can take your child's mind in some respect, and y'all don't want that to happen. Suge's father was a minister in the movie, but not in the book. We're going to get to that though. Because that's another thing that didn't make sense for me. Like, the way, well, we know it makes sense. Suge chose to go and sing secular music. And so, of course, her family shuns her. They raise her kids. She's, the hoe of the town and all of that type of shit. She's a singer. People are drawn to her, all of those things. But they still kind of disrespect her. They still kind of shun her. And even though they are enamored by her, it's the craziest thing. Because they talk bad about her, especially the women in town, because she was still sleeping with Albert after he married his first wife. And he didn't really care about his first wife. He dropped his first wife off home and then went running behind Suge Avery. So it definitely didn't make sense why you don't allow them to marry. They have kids anyway. Instead he goes and finds another girl to marry. He don't really love her. She starts cheating on him with some dude, and the dude she cheats on him with kills her because she was going home to her children and he wanted her to run away with him. So he kills her. And all of this, I feel like, could have been avoided if only Albert would have let his damn son choose what woman he wanted to be with. So, Mr. is now trying to marry Nettie. Now that his wife is dead and gone, and he got, 3-4 children. He lied about how many children he had, but he got 3-4 children to take care of, and he don't take care of them. Okay? They were calling in the book, y'all. They were calling Mr. Nettie's boyfriend, which was so weird to me because that girl did not like him. But because he liked her, that's her boyfriend, because he always coming to see after her. And that was another thing. Whenever nowadays we be talking about marriage and all of that, I think there are so many people that forget that women didn't have a choice. That if a man decided he wanted to marry you, a lot of the times you were just sold to the man that wanted to marry you. You didn't have a choice whether to say no or not. If a man set his sights on you and your father, brother, uncle, nephew, whatever man in the family decided what your fate was for you. You just had to go along with it. And it's just like, that was still very prevalent in like the 20s and shit like that, the 30s, because you had to be tended to by a man. You couldn't just be free. You couldn't just be a woman and do what you wanted to do. You had to have a man attached to you in order to be safe. So look, come on, Lady Danbury. Like, these themes are not, you know what I'm saying, like that far removed from us. So a lot of the way people talk about marriage and, it only benefits women. I'm like, since fucking when? When did that happen? When did marriage all of a sudden become something that is only for women? Because if you pay attention, they very much sought out wives to be maids, mattresses, and mules. Celie worked in the fucking fields with Harpo. They didn't talk about it in the movie, but we saw it. They also didn't talk about the fact that she was forced to wear a long dress while working in the fields instead of pants, which would have been easier for her to work in. But a woman can't wear no pants. What folks gonna think? Mister said that so many times. What folks gonna think? What folks gonna think? Grew up thinking and caring more about what other people think than what was going on in his household. A lot of people are like that today. Another thing they talked about, and we're gonna get into it even more so, was why Mister was weak in the first place. And this is what we be talking about with the way y'all raise y'all children. Raising your children to be controlled makes them weak. Instead of raising them to make their own decisions, instead of raising them to think for themselves and figure shit out on their own, you want to make every decision for them because you think you know better for them, because you're the parent, you're the adult, you know better. But essentially, a lot of adults don't even know what's best for their own fucking life. So it really was like this thing where Mr. was weak because he wasn't raised to be strong. He wasn't raised to think on his own. He was raised to do what his pa told him to do, which now brings him up as a man, as somebody that can't really deal with their shit on their own. They codependent on other people, especially being codependent on Suge Avery. Okay, so daddy, stepdaddy's daddy child at this point is still daddy. Okay, Paul, if that's what they want, they call him Paul. They don't call him daddy. We say daddy, they say Paul. Paul says that he can't let Mr. take Nettie. She too young. But he can have Celie because she's older. She's been spoiled 2 times. Y'all, the way spoiled has changed meaning over the years is insane. But spoiled means she's been pregnant 2 times. Ain't that some shit? He says she's been spoiled 2 times and she's ugly. Celie work hard and she will do whatever you want and you don't have to feed it or clothe it. Do y'all hear that? You don't have to feed it. She'll let you do whatever you want and you don't have to feed it or clothe it. To be clear, most of you niggas want that. When y'all are online talking about what's important to y'all and it's not our educations and women should be doing this and women should be doing that. Oh, no. Because when women were doing this exact thing, whatever you want to do, feed it and clothe it, y'all treated them women like shit. Y'all didn't, like, that's what I'm saying. All of this submission shit that y'all be talking about, stop being fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Stop being fucking stupid. And then another thing, the women who are married in real life and y'all talk about, oh, I submit to my husband. Y'all know y'all fucking lying. Y'all don't be submitting to nobody. Y'all do what y'all want to do. And y'all pretty much decide what y'all are gonna like let the nigga have based on what you gonna be asking for or you gonna want later on. It's still transactional. It's not, oh, I'm submitting to him completely. Because if you were submitting to him completely, he be paying all your bills. And we know that that is usually not the case. It kills me when I see all of like these grown ass women that work their ass off and do most of the work in their households and they still turn around and get online and have conversations about how they got to submit to their man. Girl, go to hell. Because every time y'all say that, all I think about is this. She'll do whatever you want and you don't have to feed it or clothe it. When y'all talk about, that's what I think about. Like, that's what I think about. Now, we gonna come to an agreement as 2 people that care about each other and want to make sure that we both good. I'll take that. We can come to an agreement. But all of this submission shit, y'all, I'm sorry. I've been going back and forth with it throughout the years, and I am now at 35, and I'm settling on stop talking to me about that shit. Ain't nobody submitting nothing but W-9 forms out this motherfucker, okay? Submitting invoices, submitting payments. I'm not submitting my will to another person because they have a penis and I have a vagina. Stop it. Now I'll submit this pussy when I want you to get in it. Okay? Here's a submission. You know? And I'm going to do for you like I want you to do for me. That whole mutual submission is just a mind fuck. Get that language out of it. Like get submission out of the marriage language completely. Compromise, agreement, negotiation. I like all that. Anyway, y'all. So he asked to see Celie. I don't really never pay no mind to her. Let me see her. She comes out, spins around for him. Next thing you know, she's walking in the snow while he rides his horse to his dirty house where his 3 kids are waiting. Y'all, the picture of her walking her cow and all of her luggage in the snow while he rides on the horse, y'all, pisses me off every time. I'm sorry. It pisses me off every single time. First of all, she's like 15, 14 years old. She's young. She's a girl. A young woman. Why do you have her walking while you ride the horse? You niggas ain't gentlemen. You niggas is not gentlemen. All of that fake taking my hat off, da 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 da. Anyway, Mr. says to them, this here your new mama. And then Harpo says, she ain't my mama, throws a rock and hits Celie in the head. This is one of the things for me, y'all. Harpo was with his mom when the boyfriend tracked her down and shot her and killed her. Harpo held his mama in his arms when she died. So when Mr., who never really cared about the woman, shows up with somebody else talking about this your new mammy, we all looking at Harpo like, you little piece of shit. But why the would you not have any sensitivity? And that's what I'm talking about, y'all. No sensitivity whatsoever to the fact that this little boy like held his mama in his arms when she died. Watched the nigga kill her. And you just show up with this new woman talking about this your new mama. Nigga, that ain't my new mama. You crazy? Like, that's insane. Celie falls down to the ground, leaves a bloody handprint on a rock. Later, Mr. is laying on top of her doing his business with the belt buckles clanking against the damn headboard. And she just turned over and looked at a picture of Suge Avery. Now, to be clear, in the book, Celie knew who Suge Avery was before she married Mr. because they all live in the same small town, and Suge Avery is known for singing in the clubs and stuff like that. And everybody know everybody's business. Okay? So she looks at Suge's picture. She thinks about Suge. She says, I guess this the woman that he like because he got a picture of her next to the. Ain't that some shit, y'all? Laying there humping on Celie with a picture of Suge on the bed next to him. Ain't that like no respect whatsoever? Right, the cow was Celie's dowry. Yes, it was. Daddy told her you can take this cow with you. Okay, which is another thing. Mr. got another cow and a mule in Celie and somebody he could lay on top of and do his business. Celie didn't get a new fucking dress for like 10 years. Can somebody tell me what the Celie got out of marriage? What did Celie get out of marriage? Don't seem like she got nothing out of it to me. For marriage is only, beneficial to women. Oh, okay. Child, okay. And then y'all gonna act like this piece of literary work that very much could have been a biography is all for play. Even though several of these themes are repeated in 2023 today. Including the idea that women are just supposed to be mattresses, mules, and maids. The idea of what a woman is supposed to be in 2023 is the same as it was in 1900. It's insane. Okay. Um, Later on, she's combing his child's unruly hair, and the little girl is screaming. He tells her to shut her up. She was like, I'm gonna have to cut all her hair off, and he said it ain't good luck to cut a woman's hair. That's another thing, y'all. I can't stand y'all with that shit. It ain't good luck to cut a woman's hair. No, y'all only want to see women with hair, so y'all tell them shit like it ain't good luck because you don't want them to cut their hair, even though that would be easier for them because it's hot as hell, and you got that lady working in the field. Anyway, because you know whatever rule he felt for his child is the rule he felt for Celie as well, right? So he gets up and smacks Celie when she says, I can't stop her from screaming because me combing her hair hurts her. Child, this is the time I wish that black people would have figured out that it's best to comb our hair when it's wet. You know what I'm saying? Like, comb the little girl hair when it's wet. Don't comb it dry. You know? Anyway, she covers the child's mouth with her hand as she combs her hair and she screams. He hit her so hard and her head was still bandaged from getting hit by a rock. So smack her. I mean, I'm surprised the lady didn't die from a brain aneurysm. All of the damn beatings and head hittings and concussions y'all done gave Celie. And this ain't even the first 20 minutes of the movie. So then we get to spring 1909. So we know that this is spring 1909. Hold up. Okay, no, I got that wrong. Hold up. Because they said in winter of 1909, she gave birth. This must be spring 1910 or something like that. I have the date wrong, but it can't be right. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, no, the time is wrong. I don't know why I got the year wrong, y'all. I'm mad I got the year wrong because I wanted to kind of keep track of how not a lot of time had passed between when she had her baby and now where she's being sold off to Mr. and, you know, don't even know where her children are. So like I said, it's spring of whatever year. And she thinks she sees her little girl Olivia in town. So she follows this woman and the little girl. And she said she looked just like me and my daddy. Like she looked more like us than we look like our own selves. And first of all, the way the white man treats Corinne in the store. Corinne is the woman that has adopted Celie's daughter, Olivia. In the book, Olivia is like 6 years old. So it's been 6 years. It's been like a good amount of time since it happened, you know, since she had that child. But Adam was the second child. In the book, Olivia's the oldest child. Adam was the second child. I think that they flipped it in the movie to make Adam the first child, which is why we never saw him, and Olivia was the one that was just born, and then she was a baby, and then he just given her to Miss Corinne and her husband Samuel. But in the movie, Olivia is only a baby and not 6 years old like she is in the book. So Corinne says that she gonna make a dress for her baby. Her husband would be so pleased. Celie asks who he. And she says her husband, Mr. Samuels, the minister. The store clerk is being unnecessarily rude to them both, calling them girl and gal. You know, I got other people in here. What else you want, gal? Like, y'all, the aggravation. And this is what we be talking about, like, as black people, all of the things we've had to deal with, being mistreated in stores. So you want to treat me badly in your store, but you are basically punking me into buying from you. Because when y'all have the black stores and the black folks go to those stores, the white people get mad by that as well. Ain't that some shit? Before segregation, during Reconstruction, when everybody was kind of living amongst each other in some of these towns, they might have a black store and a white store. The white store would then get mad it had competition, and we'll get to that, but they'll then go and destroy the black people's business because they don't like the fact that the black people are their competition. You niggas shouldn't be my competition. So they go and kill them. Like, that's what happened to Celie and Nettie's real daddy. We'll talk about it later, though. So Celie asked Corinne if she could hold the baby, and Corinne lets her hold the baby because she's also trying to get this fabric and all of that in a store. But at a moment, it seemed like Celie wasn't trying to give that damn baby back. Okay? But she said she got old eyes, so I call her Olivia. And it was crazy. I feel like, did you decide that you were going to call her Olivia because she had old eyes? Or did you call her Olivia because Celie had, sewn and embroidered Olivia in all of her underwear, all of the little diapers and stuff? Like, I think she was just lying and saying that because we find out later on, and it's talked about more in the book. But because Corrine didn't have these children, Corrine saw the resemblance between Celie and that baby, which is why she told her, oh, I call her Olivia because she look old. That's not why you call her Olivia. You call her Olivia because when your husband brought her to you, she came with diapers that said Olivia on it. And that looked right to you. But you decided to call her Pauline instead because she's your baby and she's not whoever's baby it was. And a part of making the baby yours was to change her name. But you were still calling her Olivia because she looked like Olivia. I peeped that. But you would only really know that if you read the book and found out how jealous and how worried Corinne was about the fact that those children weren't hers, but they looked like Nettie. So we'll talk about that when we get to Corinne and Samuel's story in Africa. But either way, Celie has seen her child, thinking that it's her child because she thinks her children are dead. Like, for her, he took the kids and killed them. She had no idea that he just taken her kids and sold them. So Nettie shows up to Mister's house by mailman. She says that she couldn't keep daddy, couldn't keep Pa off of her, so she ran. Now, mind you, Pa already got a fucking wife that's 14 years old. Why are you still trying to take it from your daughter? Makes me so upset. Mister says that she can stay because she can now, but really he want her to stay because he want to try to have her. He want to try to have her too. You'll have Celie doing all of the work, and then you can lay up with Nettie. If they had a different type of relationship, that would have worked. If they had a different type of relationship, meaning that if Nettie was interested and if Nettie felt like she wanted to be competition for her sister and move her sister out the way, then she could have done that. But Celie didn't care because Celie didn't want to be married to that nigga anyway. Okay? But either way, the kids running over Celie in the yard, and Nettie tells her that she has to fight back. And Celie says, I don't know how to fight. All I know how to do is survive. I don't know why that is, but when they talked about the Ndinka, the black people in Africa, the tribe that they were a part of when they were in Africa, talking about, Nettie and all of them when they were in Africa. And they had that same thing where they were surviving on their land, but they believed the white man's word and they shouldn't have. And when it came time to, fight the road, the road approaches, the dudes who was coming to tear down their huts in their community so that they can build this road in the middle of their community. Y'all, why is this something? And this is the thing, y'all. They did this shit in Africa in the exact same way that they did it here in America. But in Africa, for some reason, they think that they weren't affected by racism in the same way that we were, which is so funny to me. It's so funny to me because it's like they literally did y'all the exact same thing. I can tell you right now about how they built the interstate in New Orleans right in the middle of Claiborne Street, which was a prominent 6th Ward black neighborhood at the time. It would have made more sense to build the interstate in another way that was going through white people's neighborhood, but they didn't want to do that. But that's a part of it. That's a part of it. And every time they want to take away from a black community, they want to take away the money, they want to make it harder for that community to thrive, they put an interstate through it. Every time, a road or interstate. And they did the same thing with these people, the Ndinka people. And they didn't fight. You know why? Because they didn't know how to fight. Why don't you know how to fight? Why aren't you always prepared to fight? I don't understand that. Like, there's a part of me that, and I get it. You want to be at peace, especially after all of the warring times during, slavery and beforehand, before, colonialization, before the white people came in stealing everything and stealing all of the people and wrecking havoc and all of that. Before they did that, a lot of the tribes were warring all of the time. So it wasn't always a time of peace before then. So I guess they felt like the colonialization brought some level of peace until they started coming through your fucking, huts and shit with guns. Let you think you was safe so that when they was coming back through, you wouldn't be prepared to fight. Bruh. And we don't know these things. Because they've created this animosity between African Americans and Africans and vice versa. Because this animosity has been created, we don't compare stories. And if we compared stories, we might be able to save ourselves from being taken advantage of so often. But then there are the people that feel like the white people bring, or the Indian people or the Asian people bring growth. They bring evolution, whereas the black people want to stay where things were. That idea happens too. But the funny part about it is, there are a lot of black people in those communities that, they bring on white people because they think that they can trust them. They think that they're aligned with what they want. And the other people just don't understand it until they realize that you've been being mindfucked and you think y'all were on the same page. King Leopold's ghost. We're selling your kids into slavery. And we told you that they were going to go to good schools in the Americas. Like they always trick you. It's crazy. So they know he's going to separate them. So Nettie starts to teach Celie how to read so that they can write each other. They already knew that because he wanted to have sex with Nettie, that eventually he was going to separate them. Then one day on Nettie's way to school, Mr. dresses up and follows her on a horse. And it was creepy as fuck. And it's another one of those times where you niggas want something and you know that the girl don't want you, but you keep doing shit and not reading the room. And then when she responds to you and kicks you in the dick, you want to call her crazy and say she wrong for responding to your attack. Like, it's insane. Because that's basically what he did, y'all. That girl kept saying, leave me alone, leave me alone. And he trying to swing her around and all of this. And she's scared. Leave her alone. Like, this is not how you going to get the draws. Like, hello? And then because she's not giving it to you, you just try to take it and she fight back. So now they get back to the house and Nettie and Celie are grabbing hold to each other. And Albert is like breaking them apart. Y'all, I watched the behind the scenes on the movie. Did not realize that he actually did punch their hands. That part is always one of the parts that makes me cringe so hard. When they wrap their hands around the pole and then Celie wraps her hands around Nettie and their hands are on the pole and he starts punching their hands so that they will let go. He actually did that shit. Danny Glover actually did that shit. And he hated playing that role. But Steven Spielberg was such a good director that he was able to get exactly what he needed out of them in that scene because that shit was heartbreaking. Okay? Hearts breaking. So he, separates them. Why? You know what I'm saying? Why? They improv most of the scene. That why part was improv, everything. Child, Celie just standing there at the gate crying is another thing that always gets me. And she tells her, right. She says, what? She says, right. And she says, nothing but death. Nothing but death will keep me from it. And that means I'll write you until I die. And that's exactly what she did. I swear, when black women say some shit and they point their finger, you better know that shit is set in stone. Black women say some shit and point her finger, bitch, it is set in stone. Okay? Child, it might have been ancestral memory. Look. So, child, when he started throwing rocks at her, that shit, ooh, that bruh. Niggas is terrible. So then it's time for Celie to shave Mister. And he's happy talking about how in 2 days his sugar gonna be there and everything gonna be okay. Then he threatens to kill Celie if she cuts him. She nicks him when the mailman comes, but instead of hitting her, he runs to the mailbox looking for a letter from Suge. Harpo, as a young kid, is laying on the porch smiling, as if he saw that she was scared she was going to get hit. Evil ass little boy. Anyway, she asks if there's anything from Nettie, and he tells her that it's his business and he doesn't want her messing with that mailbox. And he didn't fix it to tell if it been messed with. Y'all, them type of mind games. Ain't no way he fixed that rickety ass mailbox to tell if it been messed with. Like, the man got to put the mail in it. How the fuck you gonna know if the man who put the mail in the box ain't messed with it? That don't even make no sense. But it scared her. It scared her enough. Exactly. Head games. Scared her enough that she never checked the mailbox on her own again. So then we see Celie go resigned and sit down in her rocking chair to read Oliver Twist. And time goes by. And I think it's like a, 5-year difference. But now Celie's grown now. And we hear the changing from her voice reading it as a child. So then, we hear Whoopi Goldberg's voice reading Oliver Twist. Child, Whoopi Goldberg's voice was like velvet. So 1916, Mr. is running around the house trying to get dressed to go see Suge. Where this, where that. Can't find shit without Celie's help. Okay? Every time he, trying to leave, he done forgot something. Celie, got it for him when he come back. So she's on it. Okay? And she's still wearing the same dress that she was wearing 5 years ago. Just so we're clear. He got blue suit, brown suit, black suit, all kind of shit. She's sewing socks while he, getting dressed. And she still got the same dress on. Ain't that some shit? Celie still cry when the mail come, wondering if Nettie dead. It's another moment that always breaks my heart. She's just like, it's raining outside and she's just standing by the window looking at the mailbox crying, wondering if her sister is dead. Harpo be in love with a girl named Sophia, and she be a big girl. Mr. said he want to take a look at her. Sophia is already pregnant, and Harpo wants to get married. The funny part about it is, Mr. and them didn't like her. Mr. did not like Sophia the same way his daddy didn't like Suge Avery. Everything that Mr.'s daddy, old Mr. said to him about Suge Avery, that's what Mr. said to Harpo about Sophia. You just repeating the fucking cycle, right? But Sophia got pregnant thinking that, Harpo and Sophia, got her pregnant thinking that would kind of let them go ahead and get married. Like, oh, she in a family way, so now you got to let them get married. But oh no. Mr. say, oh, don't think just because you done got yourself in some trouble, I'm going to let you marry my son. How he know it's his? And Sophia was like, first of all, I ain't in no trouble. Okay. And she says, Harpo know it's his. Like, I ain't got to explain nothing to you. Harpo know exactly who baby this is. Okay. Then he says women these days got their legs open for every Tom, Dick, and Harpo. And it's like, now, ain't you all excited about getting a taste of Suge's cooch that does whatever it wants to do? And that's what we be talking about, y'all. That's what we be talking about. This man gonna sit up there, slut shame this woman, talk about how women are hoes. And the very woman that he's in love with and can't wait to see is in fact what? A hoe. I mean, not by our standards, but I'm just saying, ain't that like, that's what you like, that's what you want, but you gonna sit up here and talk to this girl like this, like, so Celie is running back and forth with lemonade. She put the lemonade down. He say it's not cold enough. She pick it up again. Sophia looking at her like she crazy. Mr. said pretty girl like Sophia likely to take advantage of Harpo. Sophia says, why I need to marry Harpo? He living here with you. Anything that he got, you buy. Mr. said because he knows her daddy threw her out on the street. Sophia said, I ain't living on no street. I'm living with my sister and her husband. And they say I could live with them for the rest of my life if I want to. Let you know I ain't being shout out to Sophia's sister and her husbands. Because to be in the sister's husbands. To be clear, it seemed like all of Sophia's sister and brothers were strong-willed people, good people. The brothers was always there for the sisters was always there for one another. And specifically this sister, Odetta, I think her name was. But whatever, the main sister that was always there to help Sophia and raised her children for her when she went to jail and all of that, that sister's husband, Jack, was always there. Okay? And always, she can stay with us as long as she wants to, and I ain't gonna try to fuck her. Why we ain't never see these people? Okay? We ain't never see Jack. We didn't see the example of the good man that Jack was. Okay? But either way, look, Sophia said, sir, I ain't gotta be with your raggedy ass son. I can go stay with my sister and her husband. Okay? So she said, I don't need nobody to take care of my baby. I can take care of my baby all by myself. Now listen to that. Listen to that, y'all. That I can take care of my baby all by myself thing. That's the beginning of I don't need a man. The very thing that y'all be sitting up here talking about now, oh, women did too much. Talking about, they don't need men. I need a man. Da 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 da. Bitch, no, you don't. You want one. You want one, and if you want one, then you should have one. Okay? But the language of you needing a motherfucker is a problem for me. Okay? Because they really, really want you to need them. Because if you need them, then they can treat you any kind of way. The way he thought that Sophia needed to marry somebody is the reason why he felt he could hold that over her head like that. Which is why she told him, I'm not blind, nigga. I can see what's going on here. Harpo ain't got shit. He got what you got. He ain't even man enough for me to marry in the first damn place. But I am pregnant by him. Fuck. And I love him and I want to marry him. But at the end of the day, don't fool yourself into thinking that your son is some damn catch that you need to protect. Because I raised this baby by myself. And that was to let him know that she doesn't need to be treated badly, talked down to, or anything like that. Because she's going to be all right either way. I don't have to sit here and take your disrespect because your son done got me pregnant. The whole mindset behind women saying they don't need men came from men using their protection and provision against women. That's why they say they don't need you now, because it was used against them before. They couldn't just need you and be safe. If they needed you, you used it against them. If they needed you, you made it so that you weren't a safe space for them. So yeah, I don't need you. But if you're good enough to me, I might want you. Okay? Jonah, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Bondy, I'm so excited for your review in this movie. I've been looking forward to it. It's your first. Oh, it would be such an amazing. Thank you. She is. Like, and then she's so like cool and chill about it, y'all. Yeah, that's what for God I wish Whoopi would admit she like, she like women. Like, cause she definitely Whoopi would have been like a fire ass, what I'm saying, somebody old lady back in the day. Gardens and Goddesses, thank you for the super chat. My name is Corinne, and book movie, no matter how it's spelled, a woman with the name is hateful in a way. Also, the mom in Flowers in the Attic. So you saying no matter what, if they name Corinne, they gonna be bad? Child, that's funny. That's funny. I didn't even pay attention to that. She wasn't bad, but she had her ways about her. I think come from not being direct and getting shit off your chest as soon as you feel it. You wait all them years and let that shit fester in your mind, and it basically isolated you because you could have just confronted it and got it over with, and you didn't. Like, that was Corinne's issue in this, book. Anyway, so we fast forward to them getting married in a hot ass church with Sophia. Sophia's side full of her sisters and family members. Okay, ain't too many people on Harpo's side, but Mister is over there asleep. Okay, before they can even kiss, her sisters pull Sophia away. Sophia didn't had her baby. They talked about in the book how she stopped the church service, or she stopped the wedding so she could breastfeed her baby. Okay, Mister and Harpo let their face and shoulder touch. But that was it. I was like, them niggas couldn't even hug. That's insane. K-Rup, thank you for the super chat. Gotta go back to work now. Gotta catch the playback. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. So Harpo and so I'm married now, because it's, even though the women know that these men ain't no prize to really be married to be married, to be a married woman is a sign of your status in your community for some reason, because no matter what, the men are of value. Even if the men ain't shit, they're of some value if you have them. And that's the craziest thing, right? Because we know in real life, having a nigga that ain't shit is not of real value to your life. But in the community, you being somebody's wife somehow makes you of value. So Harpo and Sophia building a house, and Harpo mad because Sophia make him feed his own baby. His daddy tell him to beat her. Wives is like children. How many times do I have to tell y'all that the way we think about women in society today is based off of Greek society, feeling that women and children are the same for some stupid fucking reason. I don't know why you would believe that, considering everything, proves otherwise. But anyway, wives is like children. You gotta let them know who got the upper hand. So, and that you gotta let them know who got the upper hand. I want y'all to know how that plays in relationships today. I just finished telling y'all, because I know y'all don't want to hear this, because everybody want to act like this moment is so sensitive that we can't be real about it. But you got to know that people like DC Young Fly, people like Fat Boy, there are a lot of young black men that have been taught and understand that you got to let your woman know who has the upper hand. Letting her know who has the upper hand shows up in a whole bunch of different ways. But sometimes it shows up in how you talk to her, how you talk down to her, how you assert your dominance in moments where it is completely unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? But it's a moment to catch the woman off guard. And it's a moment to let her know who got the upper hand. And if you make her feel bad, women that love their men, you make them feel bad, then you low-key letting them know who got the upper hand, because they're going to rush to try to make sure that you okay and that you don't feel a certain way, or to fix whatever they've done wrong. But see, Sophia not like that. You make Sophia feel like that, and Sophia going to fight your ass, okay? So he said Sophia thinks too high of herself and needs to be taken down a peg or two. Y'all don't feel like this is how a lot of men treat their women in their relationships sometimes? Y'all don't feel like y'all see that all the time? Because I do. Sophia is in the yard tending to the garden. Okay, ain't like she out there, just sitting on her ass somewhere. She's doing work too. And Harpo comes running up to her, asking her to stop in the garden and fix him some supper. And she says, pie's in the pantry. And he says, well, ain't you gonna get it for me? She said, well, is there something the matter with you? Very common sense, very cut and dry. Ain't even no attitude about it. Nigga, I'm doing something. What's wrong with you? Go do it yourself. But no, y'all want women to perform for y'all so that you can feel like you a big man, right? It don't make you feel like a big man just taking care of your wife and your family. You gotta demean her and turn her into a fucking unwillful servant in order for you to feel like she love you, or that the relationship is the way it's supposed to be. Insane. The baby start crying. She give him the rake and say, won't you make yourself useful? I gotta go, tend to my own baby. My own baby crying. Let me go tend to my baby. And now he mad. Talking about what I'm gonna do with Sophia. And then Celie says, beat her. Sophia come one day with a black eye. You told Harpo to beat me. We see Harpo telling Mr. a mule bucked and hit him in the face, lying his ass off. His daddy know he lying too. Sophia tells Celie all her life she had to fight. I had to fight my daddy. I had to fight my uncles. I had to fight my brothers. A girl child ain't safe in a house full of men's. Do you hear that? Not even safe with your own fucking people. She said, but I never thought I'd have to fight in my own house. You want a dead son-in-law, Miss Celie? You keep on advising him like you do. Celie say, this life be over soon. Heaven lasts forever. Sophia says, you need to bash Mister's head in now and think about heaven later. In the book, this conversation didn't just end here. In the book, Sophia and Celie are actually really good friends, and Sophia was hurt. When Sophia came to her, the first thing she said to her was, I come to you and I look up to you for guidance, right? To let her know, you failed me and I look up to you. Don't nobody look up to you. I look up to you and you failed me. And Celie in this moment in the book is real enough to say, I said it because I'm jealous of you. She was real enough to say that to her. To say, I'm jealous of your strength. And that's why I said that. And I'm sorry. She apologized to her. And they were able to move on after that. Celie and Sophia anyway. But once Harpo had it in his head, he thought every time they got into it, he was going to be able to put his hands on Sophia. And I don't know why, because Sophia kept beating the fuck out of him. Like, Sophia beat the shit out of that boy. Okay? And in between the beatings, they having kids. So what they doing? They fighting and they fucking. They fighting and they fucking. And such the cycle starts and will continue of us in toxic relationships with people that we love, fighting and fucking. Because somebody always got to have the upper hand instead of just allowing people to be as they are. So one day Sophia's sisters come and hitch her wagon up and take her, and she leave because she tired. And they loved each other, y'all. That was the thing. That was something that I feel like, I don't even know if they really touched on it like that. But Celie was like, Harpo, you were so happy. But because you can't control her, and you look around and you see your daddy controlling Celie. But Celie would talk to Harpo all the time and tell him, like, well, you know me and your daddy don't fuck with each other like that. Like, in so many words, she was like, you and Sophia, like, y'all see it for each other. Y'all got it for each other. Me and your daddy ain't got it for each other. He needed somebody to take care of his kids. And my pa sold me off. That's not y'all's situation. So don't look at our situation and think that your situation is supposed to look like that. That's another thing we do in our lives that's fucked up. Looking at other people's relationships and feeling like our relationship is supposed to look like their relationship. It's not. Do what works for you. J-Way, thank you for the super chat. Sophia was very headstrong and had those paws. She really did. Okay? And I love, like, I was just listening to the book before I came up here, and it was when Sophia's mom died in a book, and Harpo was mad, well, not mad, but didn't agree with the fact that Sophia and her sisters and her brothers wanted to hold a mama's casket together. And he was like, that's what men do. Women don't do that. You just supposed to cry and chill out. And she was like, well, I can do all of that and still hold up my mama's my mama's casket, like me and my brothers want to do. Me and my sister and my brothers want to do. She was like, you can help us or you cannot, but that's what we gonna do. And he said, I asked your mama one time, why is Sophia so headstrong? Why is she like that? And the mama said, well, it's because Sophia feel like her way is just as good as anybody else's, and it's hers. Just as simple as that. Just as simple as that. Why Sophia don't act like everybody else? Why she don't do what everybody else do? Because she feel like the way she want to do it is just as good. And it's her way. And it's her doing it. Like, the crazy thing about having to even say that the woman want to do it her way because she feel like her way is just as good as anybody else's. Like, that shit is crazy, y'all. The language of it. The language of it. I feel like we get beat over the head so much with these unrealistic expectations of being a woman, and somebody just say something as simple as, well, she do it like that because that's the way she want to do it, and she feel like her way is as good as anybody else's. Like, the fuck? And she has every right to feel that way. Thank you for the super sticker, Queen J Lotus Pimp Sun Kiss. It's a whole bunch of words, child. Thank you. So the mail comes, and Celie asks if anything came for her, and Mr. ignores her. Then a storm comes, and so does sick Suge Avery. The kids were putting clay on Celie's faces as she read to them. And Mr. and Harpo carry Suge into the house out from the rain. And he tells Celie she's a family friend and fix up a spare room. Suge looks at Celie and says, the head come up. You sure is ugly. And then she coughing because she's sick. Okay? Suge is sick and Mr. is fussing over her, but he's being so rough with her. Okay? Suge tells him, I don't need no damn daddy's boy. I need a man, do you hear me? I need a man. And he goes to smoke his pipe, and she says, and I don't want to smell no stinking pipe, Albert. And this is the first time Celie has heard anybody say Mr.'s real name or seen anybody actually talk to or deal with him in this way. In the book, there were other women around in the community that tried to help Celie, that tried to tell Mr. to do right by her. And, they didn't listen. I think one of his sisters was, fought real hard on Celie's behalf. Buy her another dress. Like, tell Harpo to get his ass up and help her. What's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? And then she can't come back no more. He didn't, hit her or did something to her to piss her off. And now she can't come back no more because she spoke up and said how Harpo ass need to be helping Celie instead of just laying his ass around while she do all of the work. Because Mr. didn't raise his kids. That's another thing. Men always like to perpetrate like they was, disciplinarians and all of that. But you didn't raise them fucking children. You did not make those children do what they were supposed to do at all. You kind of let them run amok and just tried to get a wife to make sure that they didn't die. But ultimately, you didn't raise those children. But anyway... Suge says, get that thing to make me something to eat. And he says, no, I'll do it. I'll make it. So he attempts to make it himself, but has no idea where anything is or how Celie has her kitchen organized. The whole time he's trying to figure out how to cook breakfast for Suge, he's talking about how Celie don't know how to cook, how Celie don't know how to do this, and Celie just talking down on her the whole time he's struggling through figuring out how her fucking kitchen work, because in all of the years that they've been married, he ain't never been there. So he never came in that kitchen and got nothing out the goddamn refrigerator, let alone cook something in that kitchen. Don't know how to light the stove. When he got the kerosene, Celie got the fuck, okay? Mr. brings a whole bunch of burnt food up to Suge Avery and she throw it at the wall and leave some decoration on there for his ass. So Celie decides that she's going to make her a beautiful breakfast and then she takes it up to Suge's room. Celie stands back to see what the wall going to look like, but Suge just throws out the tray. Then Celie washes Suge while she takes a bath. Suge asks if she got any children and she says, yeah, she got 2. She asks who she is, and she said, I Celie, ma'am. She's smoking and drinking in a tub, and Celie tries to take it from her, and she, push her hands off. She was like, you not well, ma'am. And she says, I'm fine, okay? Put some more bubbling oil in here, okay? Celie asks if she got kids, and she said yes, they with her ma and pa. She never know if a child gonna come out right unless there's a man around. Now, we know that ain't right. I don't know why she said that, but we know that ain't true. The child ain't gonna come out right if there ain't no man around. Child, the lies y'all fucking tell. Okay, tell that to all the successful, rich black men that came from single mothers. Anyway, so they're in the NBA, in the NFL. Okay, anyway, children got to have a paw. And to me, this was just trying to show that she always had that pain behind her daddy, but that wasn't in the book. That's another thing, y'all. This whole storyline about Suge Avery's father being a preacher and all of that, and I was married now, none of that ever happened in the book. Okay? She asked if Celie pa loved her. She was like, my pa love me. My pa still love me, but he just don't know it. So Celie brushed her hair and they hum. Albert's pa comes by. And the funny part about it is Albert's daddy in this, movie, he looks like what Albert was really supposed to look like. In the book, Albert is short and red. He's not tall and brown skin and big like Mr. is in the movie. That was another thing that they wrote about as a constructive criticism of the movie, which was, why did you have to make him tall and dark skinned when in the book he was short and light skinned? And the funny part about it is that probably lent more so to why he was abusive. You know what I'm saying? Like feeling small, feeling like, I'm gonna just say it. Light skinned short men feel like because they don't fit the big, strong, dark, black man stereotype, they don't fit that stereotype. So a lot of times they're more aggressive, they're more violent than dark-skinned tall men would be, because dark-skinned tall men don't feel like they have anything to prove to anybody in the same way. And I'm not talking about everybody, y'all. This is a generalization, but I'm saying, especially growing up in New Orleans, I knew a lot of crazy ass light-skinned men that were way more aggressive and violent in nature and in conversation than darker complected men were. Now, and we've all experienced bitch assness from short niggas. Like, the only time short niggas don't act like bitches all the time is when they have big dicks. And they have a big dick, then they're not gonna like act in the same way. They're not gonna go out here and get kneecap surgery. Like, no, like then my dick's not gonna hang down to my knees. What am I gonna do that for? Okay, then it's only gonna hit the thigh. I needed to, continue to be impressive to people, so I'm gonna stay this height. So, because y'all know they've been doing surgeries to make people taller now. But yeah, no, I do wonder if they made that intentional so that you would see the darker skinned man as more violent versus the light skinned man, when in real life we have definitely seen light skinned men and short men be violent because they feel like they have something to prove. So anyway, y'all, where was I? Albert's pa comes by and looks him up and down until he sits down like a child. And they didn't even say anything, but just the physical of him and his dad kind of leaning back and forth, and then Albert ultimately sitting down and acquiescing power to his father and kind of moving his eyes down. It was a submission. And this is a problem for me. This is a problem for me, y'all. No man, no grown adult should feel the need to submit to their parents in this way. I'm sorry, y'all. This is another problem that we have in our community as far as I'm concerned. Parents feel like they have some overseer, slave master power over their children in the way they punk them. And this was like an example of that. And I feel like Albert, as a grown, statuesque man, should not have been to his father in that way. Like, I'll have respect for you, I'll have reverence for you, Paul, but if you come up to me and chest up to me like that, then I guess we're going to be two niggas standing here chesting up to each other, which is what it should be. I'm not saying that a man should fight his father, but a father should not feel like he can press on his child's buttons to punk him in any given moment just so you can feel like you the big bad. And parents do that shit a lot. Just, pressing their kids' buttons and shit when they feel in a way just so that they can test them. Being antagonistic towards your kids, daring them to do shit. Like all of that type of stuff. Remember we was watching that video, y'all, of the woman whose son is tearing his room up and he's breaking a window and she keep telling him, beat my ass. Beat my ass. And I'm like, why are you doing that? You antagonizing him. That's not what you need to be doing right now as his mother. And you can tell that he doesn't want to put his hands on you, which is why he's breaking everything in the room instead of hitting you with it. But you feel like because you his mama and you have the authority in this household, you gonna sit up there and tell him, beat my ass. And if he did, what you was gonna do? You was gonna lose. I'm sorry, mother, but I can tell by the size and the anger in her son that if he decided to haul off and start hitting your ass, unless you had a weapon, he was going to beat you. It wasn't going to be a situation where you were going to overpower your teenage son. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely feel like there are times where parents absolutely, purposefully press their kids because they know they can. And you really shouldn't do that shit. So in this moment, when Mr. has to be weak to his dad as a grown man, I want y'all to take this as a testament to the fact that that's a problem for you to expect such submission from your adult children all the time. Do not put them in that situation. I don't know why y'all want to do that to them. Like, they're adults. Do not put your adult children in those types of situations. Stop that shit. You don't have power over them. You don't. I know you feel like you should, but you really shouldn't. Anything they do for you, any reverence that they have for you, should come from their own will to do it, not from their fear of you. Especially as adults. Maybe not as kids because they don't understand certain things. But as a grown adult, don't do that shit. Anyway, so his daddy says that he just couldn't rest until he got Suge in his house, could he? Celie comes and offers old Mr. a cold drink and takes his hat. He asks what it is about Suge. She black as tar, nappy headed, got legs like baseball bats. Her own daddy won't have nothing to do with her. Put her out in the street. She ain't even clean. And I hear she got that nasty woman's disease. Now he done sprayed the shit out of Suge Avery. Okay? Sprayed the shit out of Suge Avery. She dark. She black. Her nappy hair. Like, listen to the way they talk about black women. Listen to the way they talk about us. You're mad at our skin. You're mad at our hair. You're mad at the way our legs look. Like, you're just mad at the way we look. Like, that's insane. Okay? Celie says folks don't like Suge being so proud and free. Folks don't like when you're so proud and so free. No, they don't. They really don't. And it's so funny because the people who don't want you to be free, they want to control you. And the people that can't control you, they don't want to see you be free because they don't know how to be free. Crabs in a barrel. She spits in old Mister's drink before she hands it to him. Old Mister says Suge has a whole bunch of kids that got different daddies. And Albert says all Suge's kids got the same daddy. I could vouch for that. So let's talk about that for a second, y'all. First of all, y'all up here lying about this lady. Y'all say anything y'all can think to say bad about her. Okay? Including saying that all her children got different daddies when they don't. They got the same daddy. But you wouldn't let that daddy marry her and make an honest woman out of her. So here we are with him talking about children that he don't take care of like they're not his. Y'all, do y'all know how many fucking kids Mr. got in comparison to Suge? The daddy is saying that she got all these damn children that she don't take care of. Everybody too wild and confused and all of that. But your son is sitting here with 3 or 4 children by the wife that died. And if it wasn't for the fact that Celie couldn't have any more children, she probably would have had more for him. And then there are 3 that he has with Suge Avery that he don't take care of. So Mr. got 7 children that he don't take care of. 6 or 7 children that he don't really take care of at all. But yet the only one that everybody got something bad to say about is Suge Avery. And I bet you any money, Suge Avery's kids came out better than the kids that were raised with Celie and Mr. because Mr. didn't raise those kids. Suge's parents raised her kids that she got with Mr. At least they did that. And I always believed in the movie. Y'all know the scene in the church at the end of the movie where they sing. The girl who was originally singing Speak Lord, I believe was Suge's daughter. Suge and Albert's probably oldest child. As head of the the choir. If I were you, I would say yeah. You know we're gonna sing it, okay? But not right now. So old Mr. says Suge has a whole bunch of kids. Albert says he can vouch for the fact that them kids got the same daddy. Old Mr. calls him just one of the roosters. He gives Celie his condolences. Ain't many women's let they husbands hoe live in their house. Don't give her no condolences because y'all don't give a shit. And this is what I be talking about. Now you want to give condolences to Celie. But when Celie getting beat and fucked over in this house, nobody comes over to check on her. Nobody comes over and says, oh, we need to make sure that Celie's okay. But you damn sure came over here to offer her condolences because the other woman is now in the house and you don't want the other woman in the house. Oh, Lord. So Mr. tells Celie, hand paw his hat. Then he drinks all of the water she spit in. And Celie shoulders up to her ears, tries hard not to laugh. Okay, that was another thing we noticed, which makes Whoopi Goldberg such an amazing actress, is her physical, first of all, her physical comedy that she did, all of her stand-up. This made me want to go watch all of her old stand-up. But she's such a physical comedian, and we don't see that from her anymore, because that's exactly what this was. Like, her ears up to her shoulders was acting in your body. Like, for real, for real. And we didn't see her shoulders be put down until her and Suge, had their moment, which I can't wait for us to talk about, because we're going to talk about that. But Celie said next time she's going to put a little Suge every pee in his glass, see how he like that. So we roll around the spring 1922. Harpo and Swain are knocking things down and tearing things up, working long past supper, building a juke joint. Suge is healthier now, and they got a cow with a sheet advertising for Suge Avery to perform at Harpo's. Suge Avery performs Mama Blues, okay? And y'all know we love this song, but I ain't about to pretend like I understand all of the words that she be saying. Yes, yes, yes. Robber and a cheater. Mama Blues, Lordy Lord. Okay? So the men are swooning over Suge. Girl, you can catch a fish without a hook. I drink your bath water, okay? And the women are making fun of Celie. Oh, I ain't seen a dress like that since my mama's funeral. Like, look like Albert brought his maid. Yeah, basically. Albert is enjoying himself. Just laughing down, enjoying seeing Suge perform. Down the road, the preacher, her daddy, is preaching against the juke joint. Suge sings Miss Celie's blues because she scratched my head out when I was ill. And y'all know I'm going to have to do it. Y'all ready? Okay. Sister, you've been on my mind. Oh, sister, we're two of a kind. So, sister, I'm keeping my eyes on you. I bet you think I don't know nothing but singing the blues. Oh, sister, have I got news for you? I'm something. I hope you think that you're something too. Oh, but what is it? Loving. I've been up that lonesome road and I seen a lot of suns going down. Oh, but trust me, no low life's gonna run me around. So let me tell you something, sister. Remember your name, no twister. Gonna steal your stuff away, my sister. We sure ain't got a whole lot of time. So shake your shimmy, sister. 'Cause I need a sub. This should. It's feeling fine. Okay? Y'all, they was all jealous. They was all jealous that my girl had a whole song performed for her. And y'all know that was only in the movie and not in the book. Okay? But still, So, Celie pokes her tongue out at the women that were shading her, and now they smiling and applauding her. Like, get the fuck out of here, fake ass. Sophia comes in with her new man, Buster the Boxer. Harpo is up on the beams listening. And then Mr. asks Sophia where her children. She says, at home. Where are yours? Harpo falls down off from one of the beams and they laugh. And he asks, what's she doing here? Ain't no woman supposed to be here in no juke joint. Can't one place at home. You know, running all that bullshit his daddy told him. And she says, you know, well, I came to see. She was like, first of all, this is my house. Second of all, I came to hear Miss Suge sing and have a good time. Okay, what's the problem? Y'all can be in here having a good time, and the women y'all want screw can be in here having a good time, but the wives can't. It's so that y'all can keep the wives away. That whole idea what a woman's supposed to be doing, this ain't a woman's place. Please remember that whenever men telling you that shit is because they want you out of that space, because they want the women that they like to do nasty shit to be in that, you know, in that space. They want to do nasty shit with certain women, and those are the women that they want in those spaces, not their wife. And I just kind of feel like wives need to be like, nah, nigga, if you want to do nasty shit, you either going to do it with me or you ain't going to be doing it at all. Okay? Just abiding by this bullshit and creating this separation between you and another woman. Oh, she nasty and I'm not. I'm good. I'm better. So that's why I'm going to go home and do what he tell me to do while he out with her. The fuck out of here. Anyway, Buster says that he doesn't fight his woman's battles. His job is to love her and take her where she want to go. Harpo. Okay? Harpo says, well, let's dance then. I'm like, I thought you felt like the woman shouldn't be in a juke joint. Now you want to dance? Okay? So after a while, he having a good time dancing with Sophia, and then here come his girlfriend Squeak. Harpo! Who this woman? You know who this is. Squeak say, well, she better leave you alone. Sophia say, fine by me. Harpo grabs Sophia and say, this is my juke joint. Can't a man dance with his own wife in his own juke joint? And she said, not if she left him. Okay, because she left you, nigga. You my old man now. What is you talking about? Child, Sophia said, fine by me. Sophia ain't bothered, okay? But then Squeak say, she ain't nothing but a big old heifer. Ha, ha, ha. And she called herself smacking Sophia. And Sophia don't smack, baby. Sophia don't slap. Sophia balled them fists up, knocked Squeak so fucking hard she went flying into a hole in the ground, okay? And then a fight break out. Now, in real life, that fight did not break out like that. But Sophia did knock her ass out, okay? Knocked one of her teeth out and everything, okay? And then Suge had to drag Celie out because Celie was just like, oh, they fighting. You know what I'm saying? So y'all, Suge, when they get back to the house, Suge makes Celie try on her dress and smile at herself in the mirror and not cover her smile. Because she like, oh, Miss Celie, why you always covering your smile? And she, you know, because her daddy told her smile was the ugliest thing this side of creation at the very beginning of the damn movie. So Suge take her hands and hold them down by her sides until she busts out laughing into the mirror. And she says, see, Miss Celie, you's got a beautiful smile. And Suge say, well, Miss Celie, it's going to be time for me to leave soon. And Celie say, he beat me when you ain't here. Suge say, who, Al? Like she ain't know. Celie says, mister. Suge asks, well, why he do that? Celie said, he beat me for not being you. Hurtful, right? Suge says, I know he a bully, but I got what I call passion for him. If she would have had a husband, it would have been him, but he too weak. And they didn't really talk a lot about his weakness in the movie, but they talked a lot about his weakness in the book. And him not choosing her over his daddy was the first weakness. Okay? Also, he wasn't a good worker. He didn't work out well in the fields. They had Danny Glover all fine and sweating and shit in this movie. Okay, shout out to Danny Glover back then, because I ain't gonna lie, when they had him out there in that field working with no shirt on, I was like, child, Danny Glover was some fine. But, you know, in the movie, in the book, he wasn't like that. He wasn't really doing the work like that. He let his children and Celie do all of the work. So, anyway, she asked if Celie mind her sleeping with Albert. And Celie is surprised that she likes it. And Suge say, child, I love it. You don't? Celie says, no, most of the time, I just pretend like I'm somewhere else. And he get on top of me and does his business. Suge say, well, you sound like he going to the bathroom on you, Miss Celie. And she was like, well, that's how I feel. And Suge say, oh, Miss Celie, then that means you still a virgin. And that's what I be saying, because there are a lot of ignorant people that will say because somebody was assaulted as a child that they not a virgin when they have sex as an adult or a teenager. And it's like, yeah, no. Virginity is a societal construct. It's not real. It's a man-made construct. You don't literally have a signifier in your vagina that says that you've had sex. You really don't. They act like you do. They check to see if your hymen has been broken, but they can't always tell if somebody has had sex, especially if there hasn't been any damage done. A lot of the times, though, in assault, y'all have sex with people when they aren't like prepared down there. So you have, scrapes and bruises or like rough sex. I remember when I was younger, I used to have a lot of rough sex because I was with somebody who did not know how to be as gentle with their situation as they needed to be. And I remember going to the doctor for the first time, and she asked me if I had been, if I had had rough sex because of the way I was like torn down there in some respects, right? So you can tell sometimes, but in actual life, not all the time. So virgin is only, to me, your virginity is what you give. It's having sex for the first time in a way that you choose. It's choosing to give something up. It's choosing to have an experience. It's not somebody taking it from you. So yes, virginity is what the woman, when the woman decides to give her body to somebody, not when somebody takes it from her. So I love the fact that she said, well, Miss Celie, you still a virgin. Because, the sex it's not sex. It's assault. You know what I'm saying? It's sex for the man, but it's assault for the woman. So Celie says, yeah, because don't nobody love me. And Suge says, I love you. Celie says, you don't love me. You think I is ugly. And Suge says she was like, Suge says she thinks she's beautiful. That was just assault in Sugar, being jealous about her and Albert. Then she kisses Celie on the face. First she kissed her on the forehead, then on the cheek, and then she kisses her on the mouth. And we don't know this, but Celie has been pining after Suge since she was a child. So she is going haywire and don't really know what to do in the moment. But the way they made it this endearing moment between these two women and took the sexual aspect out of it was problematic to me. Because that was so important. It didn't happen in this moment, but I feel that often this society, men, the patriarchy, all of that shit, they don't want women to find liberation through sex, because we often do. We often find liberation and pleasure. We find liberation in our sex being in our control, us choosing. And the reason why we get liberated in that way is because sex is out of our control and oppressive a lot of the times. Even if you choose who you want to have sex with, there are so many women that have sex out of obligation to the man or to the boy, not really because it's so pleasurable to them. Not because they actually have orgasms and they want the sex because it feels good to them. No, a lot of times you have sex out of obligation as a woman. So whenever women are having sex in a pleasurable way, it can sometimes free them, free their minds, and then their asses will follow. Anything that can free you, they don't want you to have. So they have to make you feel shame about whenever you choose to lay down with somebody. However you choose to experience your sexuality, they have to find a way to shame you about it. I remember when Janelle Monáe, the album, which shout out to her album, is really good. Her album came out yesterday. Before it came out, when everybody was seeing the visuals and her having her titties out and all this, everybody losing their fucking mind as if y'all didn't know the lady had titties. And somebody was like, why y'all always gotta be liberated through sex? Why y'all can't find another way? And it's like, that's like asking us to find another way to have babies. Why y'all always gotta have sex to have babies? Why y'all can't find another way? It's the way life works, motherfucker. It's the way life works. If you stop oppressing people, they wouldn't have to be liberated so often. If y'all would stop trying to promote this puritanical mindset while also living in this really secular and sexual world, which is so fucking confusing. Like, y'all make it this way. Everybody want to talk about how black people are oversexed. Why do you think that is? We're not naturally just out here oversexed for no reason. Usually it's because people that have a lot of stress, anxiety, and pain look for pleasure. They seek it out because otherwise their life is nothing but pain. Sex is pleasurable. The fuck? Like, that's why we get liberated through sex. Because it is one of the main ways in which life is brought. It is one of the main ways in which we connect to each other. It is one of the main ways in which we evolve as humans. Like, it's a huge proponent in our lives, in life, period. Y'all make it taboo. Y'all make it a bad thing. You make it something to be shameful of. That's why people need to be liberated in it. If you didn't make them feel oppressed, if you didn't make them feel like there was something wrong with them exploring their sexuality or figuring out what they like, if you didn't make them feel shame and bad about those things, then there would be a balance in it. But because y'all like to make it seem like sex is a dirty thing, that, God doesn't want you to have sex. God only wants you to have sex when you're having children. Why do y'all think that is? Because everybody be acting like God wrote the Bible, and I would just like to tell you, I think a whole bunch of crazy ass men for the most part. Because that part right there, it gives, because my sex always ends in a seed being, spring. Because whenever men ejaculate, they can have a baby. Women can have sex we can orgasm over and over and over again and not get pregnant. Men are gonna orgasm and get somebody pregnant. So you want us to only have sex for children because that's the only way your sex works. Our sex doesn't just work like that. And nobody wants to actually live in that, understand that women's bodies are made in a way to receive pleasure. Our orgasm doesn't result in childbirth. We're supposed to be able to have pleasure even when we're not having children. That's why God gave us clitorises. Like, everybody just be like, oh, God gave you these things. We gonna act like they wrong because we don't want y'all to have them. And then we gonna push our version of God on y'all. But the truth of the matter is, one of the most prevalent things in this book was when Suge Avery talked about how pleasure is a part of what God wants for you as well. To feel good, to appreciate these things that he gave you that makes this life pleasurable, that makes this life good. He wants you to experience those things, but it's the way you experience them. You know what I'm saying? It's what they bring about for you. But the actual act of it was created for you to enjoy it. Specifically women. Specifically us. We literally have a clitoris that is only for one thing. I don't know, a man don't have nothing on his body that is solely for pleasure. Your clit don't do nothing else but bring you pleasure. That's all it's for. So why do you think you're the one that's not supposed to get the pleasure out of this situation? Right. I'm about to, yes, scientifically, yes. Men can orgasm without ejaculation, but that's a lost science, and niggas too lazy to figure that one out. Talk about it, okay? Talk about it. Thank you, DeQuasia, for the super chat. Steven Spielberg directed the movie, so they probably had to cut a lot of important parts out the book to make the movie more appealing to the audience at the time. Oh, yeah, because they were trying to burn Alice Walker's books because of the lesbian part of this book. Male jealousy. That's a big reason why some cultures support mutilating of a woman's clitoris. Yes. Y'all big mad about the fact that God saw it for us to find pleasure in this no matter what. And really, you should have thought that God was trying to help your stupid ass out. Because y'all, I swear to God, how somebody give y'all a button that shows you that this is how you supposed to pleasure this person. And y'all really just be out here not knowing what the fuck to do. Like, it's insane to me. God literally gave you a map to how to pleasure women, and y'all still be out here licking everything but the clit. Make it make sense, Lord. Okay? Make it make sense. So y'all, they had that kiss, right? They had the kiss. And then after that, Celie follows behind Suge like a bee to honey. Suge goes to see her daddy at his church. He ignores her as she tells him that she was sick, but she's better now. She's been staying with Celie and Albert. They've been taking good care of her. Then she tells him how she remembers him preaching when she was young and the women cut their eyes at him while he was preaching. Something to see. And he would call for them to sing God's Trying to Tell You Something. I couldn't sleep at night and I was wondering why. He gets up because he's about to cry and he walks to the back so she won't see him starting to cry. I feel like this daddy was so mean and he never said anything. But this moment right here, in the moment in the church, showed me that he had heart for his daughter and he just was hurt that she didn't choose to stay in that church with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what that made me feel like. You're hurt because she didn't choose your life. You feel slighted that she didn't choose the life that you wanted for her, to be singing in that choir for the rest of her damn life. You know? But I think he loved her. I think this was probably the only time that they showed some duality in a male character in the movie, because it took, you know, they didn't show any real duality in the characters as the story was taking place. It was at the end in the movie that we get, you know, Mr. not being a bad guy and Harpo and Sophia eventually getting back together and all of that. So we got to see them change for the better. But the funny part about it is, throughout this entire story, they have moments of duality, moments of not being a complete bad person or a complete good person. So, you know, the book was more in the gray spaces, which is actually where more of life is. Let me see what y'all saying. Female genital mutilation is to prevent women from getting pleasure. It's so sad. Chinese rulers study how to make sex more pleasurable for women so they'd have more children, descendants for them. Child, listen, I often feel like, you know, if you pay attention to some of the shit the Chinese people did, y'all will realize how white people be fucking over us. Because they have a lot of the same type of customs when it comes to like ancestors and stuff like that. But we only like make it evil when it's black people's ancestors. When it's Asian people's ancestors, we put it on Mulan and everybody's happy about it. Thank you, Estella Mack, for the super sticker. But child, them Chinese people always like, you know, they have more common sense, I'll say. Because that makes sense to me. Fuck wrong with y'all. Anyway, so Celie thought, hold up, yeah, she was singing God's Gonna Tell You Something. Daddy ran to the back. She says she knows that he can't say nothing to her because things so different now, but she just wanted to say hello. It's a heartbreaking moment for us. So Celie thought that she was gonna run away with Suge, but Mr. asked her what she was doing, and that put a stop to that. It's time for Suge to leave, so he and Suge walk arm in arm as Celie carries most of the luggage behind them. It's another moment where I was looking at Suge like, bitch, you really not paying attention. Right when Suge is about to drive off, Celie goes to say something but says, I'm going to miss you, and closes the door. Then when they roll off and Mr. is, all right, Suge, I'll see you, Suge. And Celie passes out on the ground and he mad because he going to have to carry her ass back to the house. And I'm like, you should have to carry her, you ass. So Sophia and Buster. Y'all, this is the Sophia story, right? Sophia and Buster were in town with the kids, and the mayor's wife stops to ogle at Sophia's children, touching them all in the face. You can't tell a white person, keep your dirty fucking, dog licking hands off my children. You can't tell her that. So you got to stand there while she just touches your damn children all over the place, and your children look uncomfortable. Look how clean they are. Then she asked if Sophia would like to be her maid, and Sophia said, hell no. In the book, it's made clear that the mayor and his wife were walking in town and they saw Sophia standing there next to her nice car and Buster getting gas. And she felt some type of way about seeing Sophia next to that nice car with all of her children. Because, a nigga woman ain't supposed to have that. She ain't got a car. How she got a car and I don't have a car? So because Miss Millie was jealous, she went over there and fucked with with Sophia and them kids, and then gonna ask Sophia to be her maid, knowing good and goddamn well ain't nothing about Sophia that scream maid. So she said, hell no. The mayor comes over and smacks Sophia. Again, we know Sophia don't take kindly to being smacked, so she punched his ass. He's the mayor. right? Group of white people surround them and beat Sophia. Like in the movie, somebody comes out of nowhere and hits her over the head with the butt of a gun or something like that. But in the book, they beat her so bad, they broke her ribs, they bloodied her, they fucked up her face, her jaw, her lips, her eye, like they explained it in the book, but they fucked her up really, really bad. Okay? And Sophia, Buster could have jumped in and helped, because everybody was like, why the boxer ain't jump in and help? And it was because she told him, get my children out of here. In the movie, it was Swain. It was, the guy who played music for Suge Avery all the time, which played by Lawrence Fishburne back in the day. Lawrence Fishburne was just tall, quiet, and skinny back in the day. Too funny. But she yelled for Swain to get her children out of there, and then the man come and hit her with the butt of the gun. And, she's laid out on the ground amongst all these white people. They bust her eye, bust her mouth, broke her ribs. They arrested her and sent her to work for Miss Millie as her punishment. So, y'all, let's talk about this for a minute. Actually, they sent her to jail. And jail was so damn bad. And it was it was Harpo, Squeak, Celie, Suge Avery, Buster, and it was Mr. They all came together to figure out how they was going to get Sophia out of this situation. And this is the part that I am so upset that they left out, because I feel like this really showed that for black people, even if they had issues amongst themselves, they would still come, come together for one another when it was some white people shit. And I think what a lot of us got taught is that the women do that, but the men don't. In this book, the men did. Mr. and Harpo and everybody were very much like all together trying to figure out how to get Sophia out of this situation. And a plan that they came up with, and I can't remember whether this was Mr.'s idea or Suge's idea. I can't remember. But they found out and they said, well, who's the man in charge of the prison, the warden, who his black kinfolk are. Because everybody knows, especially at this time during Reconstruction, right after slavery, that everybody has black and white family members at this point for the most part, because of all of the mixing, right? We try to act like that's not a thing now. Now that you have two black parents, you're going to try to act like, somebody's great-great-grandparent wasn't white. I always want to talk about who's black and all of that. I'm just saying, y'all, whatever. But this was common knowledge. So come to find out, Squeak's uncle is the warden of the prison, because Squeak's daddy, or, I think Squeak's daddy was a white man or some shit like that. So whatever the situation is, they get Squeak to get all dressed up and they sent her down to the jail. And Squeak was supposed to tell the warden that Sophia was enjoying jail so much, she would rather be in jail than to go and work for Miss Millie. So because of that, of course, these white people don't want to do well by black people. So if you tell us that this nigga hate jail, but she hate working for Miss Millie even more, we're going to send her to go work for Miss Millie because we want to hurt her as much as we can. That's the plan they came up with. And I thought it was so fucking smart to use white people's hatred of us against them to get Celie out of that situation. To get Sophia out of that situation. So what ends up happening is Squeak goes to talk to him. He act like he don't remember her, but he knew who she was. And then he pretended that he didn't know who she was so that he can rape her. When she got back, Harpo was like, I got my wife in jail and they just raped my old lady. I might as well go down there with a gun and kill everybody. That right there is so prevalent. And I think that's a part of the conversation that we don't have anymore with black men, because they're not in those situations anymore. I think they got tired of fighting and they just didn't fight for us anymore. But in this moment, the frustration of being powerless to save your woman. So when we look at it now, I feel like because black men were so powerless to save us for so long, they decided to stop trying to save us. I can't save you. I can't even save myself. So I'm just going to lay down and take it. I'm going to let them do whatever they want to do. I ain't going to try to fight because I ain't going to win no how. That's the mindset that I think has formed subconsciously in a lot of black men in our society. Because for a long time they were very much powerless in some of these situations. They couldn't do anything to fix this without it getting worse. If Harpo had went and did something, then it's gonna be some large group of white people coming to lynch every nigga in the vicinity. Okay, so they couldn't even really do anything like they would have wanted to do because they're outnumbered in a lot of these places and all of that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that man raped his niece, and they still put Sophia in with Miss Millie, but that's how Sophia got with Miss Millie. Then she is a maid for Miss Millie like she never wanted to be. So now she's a little bit more docile than we had known Sophia to be. They beat the fight out of Sophia, so to speak. And Sophia teaches Miss Millie to drive. They go to the store. Sophia can barely see, but she's tasked with getting all of the groceries that Miss Millie asked her to get, while Miss Millie stands there talking to the fucking clerk about charity for colored children. That's the thing, y'all. You want to do charity to make yourself look good, but the very colored people that you come into contact with, you treat. I mean, I wouldn't even say you treat them like dirt or shit on the bottom of your shoe, because you would treat shit on the bottom of your shoe better than y'all treat black people. When they go outside, everyone is standing on the walkway out of fear of being hit by Miss Millie because her ass can't drive. She just be driving crazily. There's so much space to just be driving. The roads aren't exactly a straight line. It's just kind of dirt. So she just driving all over the place. And then she gonna tell Sophia that because it's Christmas tomorrow, she's gonna let Sophia go home. And Sophia says she ain't seen her children in 8 years. She dropped Sophia off. Sophia was barely there for 5 minutes. Was able to hug her youngest baby and say hello to her kids. And also Squeak, Harpo, everybody, her sister, everybody was at the house waiting for her. And I hate the fact that they left out how she got, to Miss Millie's, because everybody that played a part in her getting out of jail to go and work with Miss Millie was at the house. So Miss Millie can't drive in reverse. And when all of the people are trying to help her and keep her from hitting them with the fucking car, she gets scared and becomes a victim and says that they tried to hurt her. And then gonna cry on Sophia's titty talking about, how could you leave me for that long? You are a psycho. You are a psycho. Like, that's infuriating, y'all. The type of anger that black people had to control throughout these years, this time period where shit like this happens to people. She's basically a slave. She's not a maid. She's a fucking slave. And this lady gets to keep her from her family, not let her go home, bring her home, dangle that opportunity in front of her, and then snatch it away. And then cry about it. Y'all, I've never seen the evilness of a white woman depicted in such a good way before. It is perfect the way they laid it out. She gonna cry. She gonna try to invoke your sympathy, but she will sneakily and passive aggressively be trying to hurt you. So Sophia had to leave. Only was there for 5 minutes. Spring 1936, Suge comes to visit Albert and Celie. They couldn't get out the bed fast enough, okay? And she come with her new husband, Grady, and neither one of them are happy about seeing Grady. The men and kids are sitting at the table, making Easter eggs, drinking, laughing about them both having Suge. Suge listening nearby, laughing. Then she goes to get the mail, and her daddy passed. I remember Celie being like, you might want to wait for Mr. She was like, child, if I was waiting for Mr., I'd be waiting until next year. So she went and get the mail. She tell her daddy, I was married now. I say I was married now. And he ignores her. Nothing's ever good enough. So she just goes on about her way. Inside, the men are drunk as hell and smashing eggs on each other's head. Suge rushes Celie upstairs to her room and hands her a letter from Nettie. They read it, and basically she says, I guess Alba is still the only one checking the box, but she wants her to know that she loves her and she's not dead. Then she, continues to read the letters as time goes on, and we get the story of what happened to Nettie. So Nettie was basically sent in the direction of Samuel and Corinne. Samuel and Corinne are missionaries. They take Nettie with them to Africa to help with the Ndinka. And it's so funny to me for black people to go to Africa being missionaries. Even in the book, they understood, the nuance of this. Like, really, y'all have been taught these people's religion by force, and now you coming back home to us to teach it to us after it's been used to control you? Get the fuck out of here with that. Most of the Africans, the Ndinka people, were indifferent. The missionaries would come and then they'd have to leave because they couldn't take the heat, or they couldn't live past the heavy rain season, child, whatever. But the Ndinka people were kind of just indifferent. They thought of the missionaries like little bugs. Yeah, y'all can teach our children so that they can have a little bit more of a head start, but they really meant the boy children, not the girl children. None of the Ndinka women were supposed to learn. And we're because even though we like to act like the patriarchy is a white construct, I think it's also an agreement amongst the men, whether they are white, Asian, or whatever. They all have an agreement amongst themselves that they're going to continue to act like this system is working and it's best for everybody, and we just need to get along with it because it's what's right. It's bullshit, but it's something that they've all agreed to. And the funny part about it is they end up pigeonholing themselves as people. The patriarchal system, the way men view men and the way women should be and the way men should be, all of those ideals, it ends up choking those men too. Like, that's why y'all die early too. Like, I'm just saying, like, you trying to oppress people, but you oppress yourself. The men, like, y'all don't realize, my daddy was like one of the prime examples of that to me, because he felt as if it was his responsibility as a man to do everything. And even though he didn't, I could see that responsibility stressed him the fuck out. And I think for a lot of men, y'all get so stressed out and so overwhelmed by the idea of being financially solely responsible for your families, and that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of fear that you won't be able to do it, especially because there's always a situation, where a goalpost is being moved and it's hard for you to get ahead and all of that. So y'all just run. Y'all run away from the responsibility because it's so hard. But how about you change how you think about it? Like, instead of, y'all have changed how y'all think about it a little bit. Now y'all want to do 50-50 with women financially, but you're still asking the women to handle most of the labor. You're still asking for women to handle most of the labor. And that's the problem. You have to extend the equality all the way through. And then once you extend the equality all the way through, then you'll have less pressure on yourself, and you'll also be more worthy of women to be that way with you. But y'all don't want to do that. Y'all just want to get out of responsibility. Y'all want to be able to do the least amount of work for the most reward. Like, that's what y'all want. That's why y'all seek out women, because especially black people these days, y'all seek out smart, intelligent black women to have babies and get married with, because they're going to handle half of the bills. That they're going to make sure that they're taken care of, and you by product don't have to be as stressed out about providing. But then you live in this society where, as a man, you're expected to provide in order to be considered a man. So you make the women lie in order for you to feel better about the fact that you don't fit into this oppressive patriarchal ideal that y'all have set for yourselves. And then you blame the women for it. It's ridiculous. Yes, I'm aware of that. That Ethiopia has the oldest history of Christianity. They also are the only group of people that haven't been in Africa. I believe Ethiopia is the only country that's never been colonialized. They always was killing people. Like, we're not about to stop killing y'all. Y'all keep coming here. We just gonna keep killing y'all. That while we are of African descent, we have American sensibilities. Yes. Absolutely. Journey to Jasmine, thank you for the super chat. I have a video to send you on that agreement of patriarchy and how that's out of balance with nature. Send it to Ig. I need to join Discord, to be honest. I'm gonna send out that link. I keep forgetting. Thank you for that. So they teach the children reading, writing, and arithmetic and the stories of the Bible. They teach mostly boys. Olivia is the only girl. Olivia has a friend named Tashi. Olivia asks why Tashi can't come to school too. Nettie tells her because the Ndinka don't believe in educating girls. And Olivia says they're like white people in America that don't want black people to read. Whenever Tashi can get away from her chores, Olivia teaches Tashi everything she learns. And y'all, the way Tashi's parents came to them and said that they didn't appreciate them teaching their daughter shit, I was just like. And then when the daddy died, in Tashi's dad died, the mom then resume the lessons, teach her whatever she need to know. And the funny part about our women, we don't want our women, we know that there are women that live other ways. We don't want our women to live like that, but the road approaches, nigga. So you need your woman to know, you need your children to know more, because the road approaches, okay? Like, they really be out here wanting you to know less information, wanting you to be less prepared, as if the world is not going to change. That was the crazy part to me. Y'all are about to lose everything, and you wanted these girls to be less prepared because then you could be in control of them. And you don't even realize that you're not going to be in control of them because the white men are in control of your land now. Those girls needed to know more. Child, anyway, she tells her about the road being built through the village of Olinka. Their church, school, and hut all went down in a matter of hours. And then Corinne died of fever and grief after that. Now, what they didn't tell you is that Corinne, ever since Samuel brought Nettie with them to Africa, people have noticed the way Olivia and Adam look like Nettie. And so they think that Nettie and Corinne are Samuel's wives, because in the Ndinka people are allowed to have more than one wife. Y'all know their culture is different. They're polygamist. And the wives, you know, they have a good time. They're friends. They take care of each other's children together. The men really don't have any real part. The chiefs anyway, because it was chiefs that would have multiple wives. They really didn't have much, you know, interactions like that. Much relation. The men didn't have relationships with women. The women couldn't have friendships with men because y'all gonna think they fucking. You know what I'm saying? Which is so ass backwards when you think about it. But either way, Corinne felt threatened by Nettie. So over time, she got colder and colder towards Nettie because people thought that the kids were Nettie's. And she thought that Samuel might have cheated on her when they were back home and had those kids and then brought those kids to her, because men did that. Okay, I had a fucking uncle that cheated on his wife and brought the child home, and she raised the child as her own. You know what I'm saying? Like, that used to happen all the time. So there was a moment where Samuel and Nettie had a conversation, and Nettie figures it all out. You know what I'm saying? Nettie figures out that, because Samuel tells her the story. Samuel tells her the story about how their dad, their biological father, Celie and Nettie, he was hung. He was lynched because he was a successful business owner, and he was doing very well for himself. And the white people got mad and jealous, and they came and they killed him. And that left Celie's mother pregnant with Nettie. Celie being only like 2 years old at the time. And now they have this land, and, you know, they have a store. Like, they still own things. Even though they killed this black man, they still own things. The wife still owned things. So then out of nowhere, some young man comes in, and this is the man who they thought was their dad. He was younger than her. Comes in, takes over, raises the kids, rapes the kids. Okay? She dies. Everything is left to him and his new wife until he dies. And then y'all know Celie would then take over that land and that property, because it was her original, it was her daddy's property. It wasn't his. But he was like a charlatan. He was like one of those hustling ass niggas. You know what I'm saying? Also, Suge Avery and Celie, once Nettie wrote to Celie and told her that he wasn't their real father and what happened to their real father, they went and had a meeting. Suge and Celie went and had a meeting with the original daddy and his new wife, who wasn't the same one that they had when, they were still children. She left him. Okay, talking about she got too old for him. No, she didn't get too old for you. She got tired of being mistreated by your old ornery, nasty ass, and you went and found an even younger young woman to be with. And this young woman's family worked for you. So basically, they sold their daughter to you. You've probably been grooming her since she was very young. So she thinks she's all happy and excited to be with this nasty ass old man. But it's how she's been socialized since childhood, seeing as though her parents worked as, servants or whatever, groundskeepers, whatever. They work for the daddy, and then here he come and now he's married to their daughter. Child, nasty ass old niggas. Like, you can't be with a woman your age, because then you're gonna have to act like you got some sense, right? Now, how many times we gonna keep seeing that story repeated over and over and over again? So, like I said, y'all, they told Corinne the truth. They told her it wasn't me that, had kids with Samuel. It was my sister that had kids, and Samuel bought those kids off of our stepdaddy. Okay? So that you would have children. But Corinne, really held it against Nettie. Like, at one point, her and Nettie were very close. She would talk to Nettie. She wouldn't talk to Nettie anymore. Then she didn't want Samuel to talk to Nettie anymore. Basically, Corinne was so jealous of Nettie that she allowed that to, I think, destroy their relationship, because her and Nettie were very close. And then she dies. So, of course, over time, Samuel and Nettie form a relationship after Corinne dies, because they're the ones with the children. They're traveling back and, traveling from Africa to England. They got married in England, and then they came back to America. That's what happened in the book, y'all. And Samuel's relationship with Nettie was one very organic, but it's another one where we talk about how these relationships change over time. And nowadays, even back then, they would have looked at Nettie and felt like, oh, you stole that lady's husband, or you had been sleeping with him the whole time. And really, that's not how it happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was something so sweet about their relationship. And it was something that I feel like in present time, people would have judged very harshly. You know what I'm saying? We would have all judged that shit so harshly. But the truth of the matter is, it made sense for them two people to be together after everything that had happened, everything they had been through, the family that they had formed with each other, traveling the world together. Like, it just, to me, it made sense. Who else was Samuel supposed to be with? Who else was Nettie supposed to trust? Like, it made sense. But people would have felt, negatively about that. I don't think Nettie was wrong. I don't. Because Nettie didn't have a relationship with that man until his wife died. You know what I'm saying? And then it just kind of happened because they enjoyed each other's company. And it happened organically. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't something done beforehand. It wasn't done to hurt her. They weren't lying about anything. It wasn't nothing like that. So for me, I feel like I don't think that Nettie did anything wrong. I think it was just a progression of life. You know what I'm saying? He was with one woman. She dies. This other woman is there. He loves her. He has feelings for her. She has feelings for him. Their relationship grows and turns into a marriage. To me, it was just a progression. So yeah, y'all. Corinne died of fever and grief after that. She says they will come home soon when they work out something with immigration. Mr. comes out of nowhere and slaps blood from Celie's nose as she's reading this letter. He says he's been calling her for an hour. Get his razor and shave him. She's pissed at this point. Now Celie's different. Celie knows more. Her mind is opening up more. So now she's angry. So she's pissed. She moving slowly. He tells her, get the molasses out your ass. At the same time as we see her setting up to shave him, we see that he may not, come back from this shaving. Okay? So at the same time as we see this, Tashi is getting the cuts on her face as a rites of passage for the Olinka people. Y'all, I need to understand why y'all need to put cuts on y'all faces. Like, I need to, sometimes, because this is a part for me where I don't like that people don't question tradition and why y'all do things. Because back when a lot of traditions were created, They were doing them for a reason that may not be relevant now. So if it's no longer relevant, why is it still a tradition? I just need to understand why they were putting the slits on their faces. I don't know. Okay, I'm not judging it. I need to understand. Okay, but Tashi wanted to do it because she didn't want to be an outsider from her village. But at that point, Tashi and Adam already had their little love going on, and Adam was angry at Tashi for getting the cuts into her face. I also think she got the female mutilation, but I don't think they actually talked about that. Anyway, Suge felt it in her spirit because she came running to save Celie from slitting Mister's throat. So then they have the Thanksgiving dinner, y'all. And this is the big scene. Sophia is home for Thanksgiving. Squeak asked her how she's feeling, and she said confused. Harpo asked, ain't she glad to be home? She says, maybe. Maybe. Suge tells Albert, Celie is coming to Memphis with us. Okay, with me and Grady. He says, over my dead body. Suge says, you happy? Is that what you want? He asked Celie, what's wrong with you now? Celie says, you a low down dirty dog, and it's time for me to get away from you and into creation. And your dead body will be the warm welcome I need. Child, everybody at the table, oh, Lord, child. Old Mister say, now how you going to be letting that girl, sitting down there speaking to you like that? You sitting down at the end of your table and you acting like a damn waiter. Like the daddy was always, why you going to let her talk to you like that, boy? Celie says if he wasn't your boy, then maybe he would have made somebody a halfway decent man. That was a word right there. If he wasn't your boy, then he would have made somebody a halfway decent man. Meaning you fucked your son up. Okay? And then she says, you took my sister Nettie away from me. You knew she was the only somebody who loved me. But Nettie and my kids coming home soon, and we all gonna sit around and whip your ass. He laughs off. Women, you talking crazy. But she says, oh, I got children. I got children. My children live in Africa, learning different languages, fresh air, lots of exercise. And they're going to turn out a heap better than these fools you never tried to raise. Child, Celie was reading his ass down. Harpo says, now hold up, Miss Celie. She said, no, hold up, Harpo. If you had never tried to rule over Sophia, white folks would have never gotten her. A word, okay? He said, now that's a lie. And then you hear Sophia say, there's some truth to it. She said, y'all was rotten kids. Y'all was rotten kids. Made my life here hell. And of course, your daddy ain't nothing but some dead horse shit, meaning that he ain't never even helped. Squeak start laughing and Harpo tell her, shut up. It's bad luck for a woman to laugh at a man. Now look, in the book during this moment, they left out what Squeak was really laughing at. So Mr. makes a comment about how, how she gonna find a man, or it was Grady. Somebody said something about how she gonna find a man if they think badly of her, because, what Mr. said, what everybody gonna think, and Suge say, Albert, act like you got some damn sense. Ain't no woman supposed to be caring about what nobody think. Like, what the hell wrong with you? The way she said it to him in the book, like, boy, what the fuck is you talking about? Ain't no woman need to be worrying about what nobody think about her. You know what I'm saying? Or we ain't gonna be able to find a man. And all of the women kind of look at each other like, ain't they some fools? And all of the women laugh at the men at the table, because the men literally said, well, she ain't gonna be able to find a man. And they just all bust out laughing like, motherfucker, we don't want y'all. Yo, it was so funny because it was like, we ain't gonna be able to find no men. And they all looking around like, these niggas is the bane of our existence. Okay, we can't do shit without y'all. All y'all do is try to control us and tell us what to do. Y'all don't treat us right. If y'all do fuck us good, you won't pick us. Okay, like just all of these things that they have together as the culmination of how their lives have gotten to where they've gotten. Sophia said, I've had enough bad luck in my life, so it don't matter. I'ma laugh some more. So she laughed in his face some more. Cause nigga, my life already been full of bad luck. So I don't know how much more bad luck I could have. So she laughed at his ass too. And to me, this moment exemplifies the way women nowadays, whenever men tell us, oh, y'all gonna die alone, and we just be sitting up there like, what? First of all, I'm going to die alone anyway. Second of all, how many married women have buried their husbands? Still dying alone. Get the fuck out of here. Okay? Sophia starts laughing and says she done had enough bad luck to last her whole life, okay? And now she, oh, Sophia home, Sophia home. But then she goes into the monologue. Child, they said they had to give Oprah Winfrey an applause after this. Sat in that jail, didn't hear about right to death. I know what it's like, Miss Sealy, to want to go home, want to go somewhere and can't. I know what it's like to want to sing and have it beat out you. I want to thank you, Miss Sealy, for everything you done for me. That day when I was in the store with Miss Millie, I was feeling mighty down. I was feeling mighty bad. And then I see you, Miss Sealy. And I know there's a God. And one day I was going to get to come home. Y'all, the scene to this day, it will put chills through your damn body, okay? Albert says Celia isn't getting one red cent of his money. She said, did I ever ask you for anything? Did I ever ask you for anything? I ain't never asked you for nothing. I ain't even asked for your sorry ass hand in marriage. I ain't never asked you for nothing. Okay, child, we mad now. Sophia home, y'all. Sophia home. Pass me them peas. Okay? Sophia home. Okay? She said things gonna be changing around here. And then Squeak stands up and says that she leaving too. But first cause Harpo called her Squeak, she said, that's not my name. My name is Mary Alice. In the book, Mary Agnes. In the book, they had kept telling her to tell him to call her by her name instead of always calling her Squeak. Make him call you by your name, girl. Okay? So then she tells Harpo her name ain't Squeak. It's Mary Agnes, and she leaving to go sing with Suge. Old Mr. tells Albert he's sitting at the end of his own dinner table and he acting like a waiter. Albert says that, turns back to Celia and say, what you gonna do? What you gonna be, Suge's maid? Okay? You about to put out a slop jaw? Look at you. You're ugly. You're skinny. You're shaped funny. You're too scared to open up your mouth to people. The only thing you're fixing to do is be Suge's maid. And what's she gonna do? She can't cook. She can't clean. Maybe she'll be on somebody's railroad. Him and the daddy laugh about her working on a railroad. And she asked, any more letters come? He said, could be not. Like, oh, all right, nigga. Okay. In the book, he went to smack her and she stabbed him in the hand with her knife. But we ain't had that happen in the movie. But she did put it down in front of him. Okay? She takes the knife. She says, I curse you. Until you do right by me, everything you even think about is going to crumble. Sophia tells her, don't trade places with me, Miss Silly. Don't trade places with what I've been through. And Suge comes and grabs Silly by the shoulders and pushes her in the car. And she says, everything you even think about is going to fail. And she gets in the car and he runs up to try to smack her. Like runs up like this. And she says, everything you done to me, already done to you. And that right there, y'all, that relinquishing of that anger towards him, that's what she did, y'all. In that moment when she turned around and said, everything you done to me, I already done to you. Or it's already being done to you. Relinquish it. That's why when she rolled away and she was like, I'm poor, I'm black, I may even be ugly, but dear God, I'm here. And what that mean? I'm here. That mean that it don't matter. None of that shit you talking about matter. I deserve to be here because I'm here. And if I deserve to be here, then I deserve to figure out myself in this space. Out in creation. What I want to do. My life. You know what I'm saying? That's what that was speaking to. When she waved goodbye to him and he runs behind her screaming that she'll be back. And she just smiled and she waved goodbye. And it was literally one of the most beautiful parts of the movie, y'all. And I feel like it was one of the biggest examples of what karma really is. To me, we always be talking about karma these past couple of days. But to me, karma really is when you relinquish the idea of revenge because you know that energetically what this person has done will already come back to them. I feel like as a, this is how I feel like I know that I've always been like strong in my power as a person, is because when I was very young, I would learn that I didn't have to get revenge on people. People would do me bad, do me wrong, make me feel some type of way. And I would feel like, oh, I want to get revenge or something like that. I would think that way or feel that way. And then I would let it pass because I hated holding on to anger. Something I learned from my daddy that I didn't want to always do is be holding on to anger about things. And so I would learn to let it go. And then some time will pass later, and that person, whoever they are, either they don't matter to me anymore, so whatever they did to me doesn't matter, or I find out something about their life that makes me feel like they got their just due. It wasn't karma exactly for what they did to me, but it's karma for who they are and how they're showing up. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, and that's why I didn't like what Azalea Banks said about, karma and all of that, because it's like karma is not your revenge. It's the exact opposite of it. It exists so you don't have to get revenge. You know what I'm saying? It exists so you can freely let go of the way people hurt you and move away from them, and then move away from any negativity that they've brought you with you assuming this I need to get revenge shit. Because as soon as you seek out to dig a grave for somebody, you got to dig one for yourself. Which is why revenge and all of that shit isn't worth it. That's why it's karma. That's why it's God gonna get them and all of that. Because that's the way you are able to not allow the way somebody has hurt you to continue to hurt you even more by keeping you low vibrational. So in this moment where she sends it right back to him, she cursed him. She cursed him. But she cursed him with everything that he'd already done to her. Life is going to whip your ass in the same manner. And I ain't got to lift a hand against you. All I got to do is lift my 2 fingers to curse you. And she didn't even have to say that. But because she said it, it will so be. But it was going to happen anyway. You know what I'm saying? But to say it was to relinquish it from her. You know what I'm saying? To take it out of my body and throw it right back at you. So I'm not going to let my anger towards you fester inside me and destroy me. I'm going to give it right back to you and leave you with it. And whatever happens to you, that's on you, and they ain't got nothing to do with me. But I'm moving on from whatever this negative space that you have put us in. I'm leaving from it, and I'm going to leave you here with it. To me, that was like a prime example of, yes, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. Exactly. People get all caught up in language, but it's the same thing, y'all. Karma and vengeance being the Lord's is the same thing. Meaning that don't you worry yourself. Don't you worry yourself with things of that nature. Because in essence, you when you seek out revenge in such a way, you dig your own grave. Whatever you seek out to destroy, understand that it will also seek out to destroy you. That's the balance in it. So, y'all, we see Celie on the train throwing chocolates out to the young girl watching the train pass, and we see how, she saw her as Nettie for a moment. But it was her finding her freedom. It was her finding herself. Then we see fall 1937. This is a year later. The land, the field, the house are falling apart. Mister is laying in the house under a table, bullet holes in the mailbox. And old Mister come by to scrape him off the filthy floor and tell him that he needs a nice young woman to clean up after him. As soon as he say that, Albert kick him out. Bye, Paul. Get out. I don't need no more bad advice from you. And that's how men, and that's why I say all the time, because somebody was like, women are the only, women look for the validation of men, but men don't look for women's validation. I say that's a lie. They may not look for our validation, but they need us for everything else. Even the gay men. Even the gay men. If they didn't have their mothers, I wonder where a lot of them would be. They aunties, the women figures in their life, I wonder where they will fucking be. Because we know you niggas ain't putting forth nearly as much effort in some of these households and relationships as the women are. These men ain't nowhere without women. And the reason why I say that, what does his daddy tell him to do? His daddy don't tell him to get himself together. His daddy don't tell him, get up and get out there in the fields, clean up this house, boy. You need to get yourself together, clean yourself up. He don't tell him to clean himself up. He tell him to go find a young girl to clean him up. Go find some fucking child to come in here and clean you up. Don't clean yourself up. Go find a woman to do it. At this point, Albert, I think, is mad at his daddy because he realized his daddy been giving him bad advice his whole life. And it wasn't until everything fell apart and everybody he thought, was going to be around, all of this disappears. And to be honest, y'all, that's exactly what happens for a lot of these mean ass old men. A lot of these niggas that wasn't shit in their life, at the end of it, they have nothing to show for it. They ain't got no family around. They don't have kids that want to be bothered with them. They are left to their own devices, okay? It's not the same thing with women in our community to this day. If you were not a good man to somebody, if you didn't take care of your kids, if you didn't in some way make yourself of service or do for people without needing something in return all the time, it's only a blessing in life when there's somebody to look out for you. Because I feel like that right now about one of my uncles. They're going to be mad at me for saying this if they see it. But he is so fucking lucky that my mama is the way she is. You are so lucky that my mama is the way she is because you didn't do right by your daughter, so she not going to do right by you. The wife that you did do right by died before you. And now you've just been a mean ass old man for most of what I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you my uncle and all of that. But you one of the ones that I remember always had to tell me how fat I was. Or, commenting on how I look. You ain't never had nothing nice to say. All you wanted to do was sit on the porch and drink your fucking beer and be ornery and mean and disconnected from everybody. So now that you an old man, the only person that is taking responsibility for you is your sweet young sister who feels the burden of taking care of you, thank God, because her father was a sweet old man. My mama is one of those people that extends herself so much to people. And I feel like, especially with older men, she does that because her father wasn't like that. My grandfather was a sweet old man. He really was. He was a sweet man. And my grandmother might have had, her anger issues towards him and was verbally abusive. I think my mom grew up feeling sorry for my grandfather a lot. And so because of that, I think my mom does the most and offers so much patience and grace to men who I sometimes believe don't deserve it. But that's her, and that's who she is. And that's how she works out her life traumas. And I had to understand that, respect it, and detach myself from it. Because sometimes it can feel, it could feel like, you being male-centered or you picking these niggas over you or over us, whatever. But really it comes from her having all of this love for my grandfather and feeling like every man is some example of him. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I've watched my mom do for and be there for people that do not deserve it, that have never been there for her in that way, that have never been that way for her children or their children. But thank God for her, because otherwise your ass would be somewhere rotting away in a house, a hot ass house by yourself. They would have come and took your shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, anything could have happened to my uncle if it was not for my mother. Nobody else in our family has taken, control of that situation to make sure he's okay like my mom has. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at, these situations, a lot of y'all niggas is lucky because y'all live in these systems where women are socialized to give a fuck about y'all, because y'all don't be giving a fuck about us. Y'all don't care. During y'all lives, y'all do not do anything outside of what you want to do. Y'all are selfish. Y'all are so selfish throughout y'all lives. Y'all don't do anything outside of what you want to do for yourself or whoever you with. Only the women you fucking do you do something for like that. And then you become an old man and don't nobody give a fuck enough about you to do for you. That's how it happens a lot of the time. Mister? That's why Mr. was laying up in his house with nobody around. To me, that is definitely what happens to a lot of black men in our community. Y'all want to have these feelings towards everybody. Y'all want to treat everybody like shit. Y'all only want to do for people when you feel like it, when it's, when it's something that you can get out of it. Not even when you feel like it, but only when it's something you can get out of it from a very selfish place. Not to be a good person, not to be there for somebody, not to do the right thing, but so that they'll do something for you or you can get something out of the situation. Y'all asses roll like that y'all whole lives. And when y'all get old and y'all losing y'all mind and shit, people can be there to take advantage of y'all very easily if it wasn't for somebody being there to protect you. I'm just saying. So Albert is down at the juke joint drinking his sorrows away. Sophia, Harpo, and Swain watch him carry himself home. But before he goes, he says, it sure is nice seeing Harpo and Sophia back together again. And Harpo look upset. And I feel like this is the moment, and Harpo is getting this moment much earlier. So that's the blessing in this. The same feeling Mr. felt when his dad came to the house and told him to find another young woman, and he kicked his daddy out the door because he felt like he was giving him bad advice again. In this moment, this is when Harpo realizes that my daddy gave me the wrong advice, and now he's realizing he gave me the wrong advice. I felt that way the whole time. But now that he's kind of low-key admitting that he gave me the wrong advice on how to handle my relationship with Sophia, he was low-key mad. He was mad. He looking, because Sophia was like, you want to make sure he get home all right? And he was like, he gonna be just fine. He gonna be just fine. Because on the inside a little bit, he resented him. Now in the book during this time, not only did Albert lose money, but Albert was really sick. And Sophia told Celie one day when she came back from Memphis or whatever, she was like, I remember, when I fell, she's like, I started to have feelings for Harpo again. And the reason why she started having feelings for Harpo is because Harpo was the one that went and got his daddy out that house. It wasn't in the movie. It was the old man that came and got him out and gave him that bad advice. So we see that Mr. has grown. But no. And I hate that they left this out. Y'all, Harpo literally used to have to go and hold his daddy in the bed. You know what I'm saying? Like his dad was sick. And she said, I went there to go tell Harpo something, and I get there and they both then passed out in the bed together. And Harpo being all big, a big man. In the book, Harpo is big like Mr. is. And his daddy, Mr. is small like old Mr. So she said when she went and saw them laying in the bed together, in the care that he gave his father, he was feeding them, cleaning them, bathing them, taking care of him. Harpo took care of his daddy in a very nurturing way, in a way that his daddy never took care of him. And they left that out, and I'm so mad that they left that out, because I feel like that has been such a detrimental part of our community as Black people, as Black men, not being able to see nurturing in the way they handle each other. To me, that would have been a huge thing to show. Harpo going and getting his daddy up out of that situation, going clean his daddy up, going take care of him. We really should have seen that. I'm really mad that they took that out. Color Purple is one of the biggest movies in history, but in Black history, it is one of the biggest movies. And I think that it influenced our generation so heavily that if we had seen Harpo come and take care of his daddy after all of that, maybe we would have seen the nuance of men showing up for each other instead of always pushing off these responsibilities on women. Because he could have tried to make Sophia do it, and she might have felt inclined to do it. But he felt it was his responsibility to go and take care and clean up his father, and he did. And she says that's what made her fall in love with Harpo again, watching him take care of his daddy. Y'all shouldn't have left that part out. Y'all should not have left that part out. That's so huge. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so huge. That is so much very missing from, Black men's experience, is seeing them be taken care of by one another in a way that they expect women to. Thank you, Chocolate Soul, for the super chat. That's the type of Southern man, Cliff, entrenched in female submission. Child, I know. They think they living in a fucking Color Purple over there in Mississippi, child. I was watching Bell Collective last night, like, child, if Latrice want to be a fool, let her be a fool. This 2023. If you still want to be over there talking like it's 1970, being a fool, Sitting up there talking about, I don't want to leave my husband. It's okay for him. You know, girl, okay. Ain't nobody about to argue with you about staying with that man but your mama. Your mama the onlyest one that wants to sit up there and argue with you about you staying in an abusive relationship with that crazy ass nigga that told you that you wasn't his equal. Let me explain something to y'all about that. Just because we don't do the same job don't mean it's not equal. Anyway, so Celie walks her fine self to the funeral for the man she knew as her pa. Okay, Nettie write that their real father was lynched, and 2 years later her mama married this man. My children, not my sister and brother. Pa, not pa. She asked his wife how he died, and she held her baby close to her chest and said, he died on top of me. A lot of them die on top of us. Her real daddy owned the land in the store. When he died, it passed down to her mama, and her mama died. It should have went to Celie and Nettie, but fake Paul left the money to his new wife. I was like, how you get money? Like, she should get the money, but how you get money, bitch? I guess because he worked the store. But that was another thing that the old daddy told Celie when her and Suge went to go talk to him before he died, that her real daddy didn't know how to handle this. Black people, you know, after slavery, they had done so much work for white people, they didn't want to deal with them no more. They didn't want to deal with white people at all. I'm not giving you no fucking money. I'm not doing nothing. Leave me the fuck alone, white people. After slavery, that's how black people felt. Leave us the fuck alone. Well, daddy said, you know, the real old Paul, you know what I mean, their daddy said that he just paid the white people off because, you know, then you got to give them something. He said, literally said in the book, well, white folks, you got to give them your woman, your money, or you got to give them your ass. When we going to start talking about the underlying relationship between black men and white men? Because, you know, Cynthia G is always talking about how y'all only want to, you know, y'all want to slurp on white men so bad. But there is a part of this that I feel like is definitely like an underlying thing. Because so often to get out of situations with white people, sex was an option. It wasn't always just money or death, but sex was an option. And because a lot of them were homosexual, but used it as a weapon, like attracted to, you know, anything and everything and use sex as a weapon. It's the way we translate, you know, gay sex now. The reason why we have a problem with it now is because of the way white people use sex against black people. It is what it is. But when he said that, I was just like, child, we don't talk about how prevalent that is, that undercurrent of energy, you know, that story, and how that is linked to the experiences we have, and how men relate to each other, and how they really don't like to be in competition with white men. And I think they don't like to be in competition with white men because white men come from all of these different angles with they shit. But anyway, you know, deeper conversation for another time. So then we see Miss Celie open Miss Celie's folk pants. In the book, we get a little bit more about her living in a house with Suge, and how Grady and Squeak started to have a sexual relationship. So Grady and Suge were married. They all left together and were living in Suge's house together at one point. Grady and Squeak start having a relationship and smoking a whole bunch of weed all the time. And yeah, and Suge would travel and leave and come back, and you know, her and Celie had their relationship. And then one day she fell in love with some young man and she left to go and be with him, but eventually she comes back to be with Celie again. So Suge basically got to just live how she wanted to live, which I admire. I admire her being able to float in and out of people's households as she saw fit. Like, I'm just saying, like Suge definitely was somebody that did what the fuck she wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I'm saying a lot of these relationships changed. Yes, a lot of the relationships changed a lot over time, and people didn't really fight against it like that. We didn't hear anything about Suge being mad that Grady and Squeak had taken up with each other. She was actually starting to get annoyed with Grady, so it didn't bother her. And she had her relationship with Celie, and she cared more about her relationship with Celie. You know, had a nice room made up for her in her house and everything. Gave Celie money. I mean, Celie felt bad about how much money Suge would give her when it came to making her pants and all of that type of stuff. And Suge had to tell her, like, I'll give you as much money as you need to. You doing your part. You're doing your part right now. You working your way into making a life for yourself, because Suge already saw that Celie sewing all of the different pants and everything that she was sewing. She saw that was a way for her to get money, but I don't think that Celie had saw it yet, but Suge did. So Suge was working, and Suge would go and perform and come back, and she took good care of Celie and everything until she decided she wanted to run away with the little young guy, and then eventually she came back. Yeah, Suge was living her best life. Like, Suge lived her best life in the fucking 1900s, and baby, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Grady was for the streets. He was. Suge was a city girl. I don't know if I would call Suge a city girl, but if Suge was a city girl, I want to be a city girl. Fuck, I don't give a fuck. Suge had a great life. Suge got to have all her many lovers, all her great loves, and at one point she had all her great loves in the same house. But anyway, we joined Suge and Celie's God conversation. This was, the movie is out of order a little bit. Because they have to make it seem like Celie never went back to Mr. But when Suge left and ran away with the young man in the book, Celie went back home and bought a house, and moved back into her dad's house and all of that, in the store, just like we saw. But in that time, her and Mr. formed a relationship. They talked once at Sophia's mama's funeral, and from then on started to build their friendship back. Mr. even wanted to marry Celie, like, for real, asked her to marry him in spirit and in body. And she was like, no, let's just continue to just be friends. Because essentially, I don't think that Celie was into men. And it could have been because she was assaulted, or it could have just been because she was never really into men. But Celie wasn't really into men. She wasn't. She enjoyed her relationships with them once they were good. Like, her relationship with Mr. was very good by the time we get to the end of the book. And we'll talk about that. But first, let me go back to this conversation that they had about God. Because to me, this conversation about God is literally one of the biggest, best kept secrets inside of a damn book if I've ever seen it. I used to always hear that saying, you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book. We joined Suge and Celie's God conversation. And Suge is saying, more than anything, God loves admiration. Just wanting to share a good thing. I think it pisses God off if you walk by the color purple in a field and don't notice it. Celie asked if she's saying it just want to be loved like the Bible says. And Suge says yes. Us sing, dance, and holler just to be loved. But the one thing, it was a couple of things, but one of the things she said was that God does a whole bunch of things for us to love him back. Not him, it. She said God is an it, not a he or a she. I believe that as well. An it, not a he or a she. She said God love everything you love and a mess of stuff you don't. I'm quoting stuff that I got from the book because these were the lines that I felt was so important. God love everything you love and a mess of stuff you don't. God love admiration, wanting to share a good thing. God wants to be loved by us too. So busy thinking about the white man in her head, she never noticed what God made. And this is when Celie's mind starts to really open up, is when she is made to not feel shame and guilt by the things that she finds pleasure in. And to me, I feel like that is what we have been taught our entire lives, to find shame and guilt in whatever we get pleasure from. If it's not, if it's not pleasure from church, if it's not pleasure from good, clean fun, then it's shameful. And you shouldn't feel like God created the space for you to experience that pleasure. That God created fucking orgasms and clitorises and all of those things because he wanted you to experience pleasure in this life as much as strife. You know what I'm saying? And another thing is like when she said that God want to be loved by us too, she was like, yeah, God do a whole bunch of things to make us love him too. Just look around and you don't even pay attention to it. And I was like, yeah, that's how I feel. Like when we was on this vacation and I was, standing in the middle of the ocean, it was calling me every day that we were on that trip. It was like, I just need to go stand in the ocean for a little while and be moved around by the waves. Like it felt calming and centering, and that I was in alignment with myself and that I was my most powerful. Like when I came back and all of these things started to happen and my intuition has been hitting as hard as it ever has, all of those things, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't help but to recognize the truth in what is being said in this book. And what Suge says is that man always want to put himself in God's position, but he's not God. So instead of thinking about that white man who you think is God, or whoever you think your God is, because she asked Silly, what your God look like? And that was so important to me because I believe that your God should look like you. That's what I believe. I don't believe that your God should look like somebody that doesn't look like you. I don't believe that. So when she says, we think of God as a white man, and every time you pray, here come that man trying to get in the way of your prayer. And Suge say, next time you pray, conjure up flowers, wind, water, or a big rock. And the reason why is because if you can focus on the things that you know God made, like nature, then you can focus on who God really is versus focusing on who man tells you God is. Man tells you that God is a man so that you can worship him. But if you were to actually separate yourself from what you've been taught about who God is and actually try to experience God in the places where you know God dwells, which is not always in the church. That was another thing they talked about. Suge said, the only God that I ever found in church, I brought in with me. And I think everybody else too. Silly said they have a lot of people in church that don't even have God, because when I was in there pregnant with Mister's baby in my belly, talking about her daddy, when I'm a teenage girl, 13 years old, 12 years old, pregnant for my fucking daddy, y'all in this church and y'all just judging me like it's my fault. Ain't no God in y'all. Ain't no God in y'all. Y'all was coming to that church, but there wasn't no God in y'all. And there wasn't. And you can't tell me you got God in you when you see shit like that happen and you judge the girl. It's her fault that man lay on top of her and take control of her body like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like the conversation was just so rich and valuable in the way we think about God. I really do feel like for a lot of us, specifically growing up in the South and in church, that's why they were burning this book back in the day, burning Alice Walker's books, because they don't want you to free yourself. And she said in the book, she was like, I think whenever people look within for God, they find it. Whenever they look within themselves to find God, God just show up. But whenever they search for God outside of themselves, they don't find him. They just keep looking and they find him. They think they find him and they don't really, And then she said church is a place for people to share God. The people that already got God inside of them, they go to church to share God, not to find him, because he's already in you. It is already in you. Y'all, the messaging behind that is so fucking huge. If people would only listen to it, that's why this conversation started to open Cilly's mind up. This conversation in the book happened before Cilly left Mister. So this is the conversation also with the sexual liberation of starting her sexual relationship with Suge during that time. That conversation and the sexual liberation is what started to open Cilly's mind up and give her the strength to leave him in the first place. Like in the book. These are the things that started to open up her mind. She literally said, I don't even think about Mister's beatings anymore when I start to look at a bush in our yard. Suge gave her the look around. God in the sky, God in the trees, God in the flowers, God in the grass. Look around. That's God. When you start to look around and find God in nature, there's a piece to that. There's a just you in that doesn't involve everybody else's, bullshit being attached to how you view God and how you view your relationship with God. Like, y'all gotta read the book, bro. Like, I'm just saying, like, that part to me at 35, that lesson that was in this damn book has been a lesson that I feel like I've been learning for quite some time now. And I had to come to that conclusion over time. Whereas in this book, they're already telling you the fact that you can appreciate the things that God created means that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing by God in your own way. When people figure out how to give God praise in their own way, the way they do it, and the way Suge did it was having a good life, feeling pleasure, enjoying those moments, enjoying the beauty that God had created. And I connect with that personally because I definitely am one of those people that can appreciate all of my small moments. I appreciate the quiet. I appreciate peace. I appreciate not being told what to do. I appreciate waking up in the morning and dictating my day. I appreciate when I get to sit here and do this job and look out at the sky in front of my house. My house ain't, nearly what I want it to be, but it's mine. I appreciate that. I have gratitude in all of those small things, in those small moments. My life is enriched and much more valuable to me because of that. Meaning that even though financially I want more for myself, I want more, accomplishments for myself, I want more in my life than I have at this moment. I have such an appreciation for the small things that I have. I have such appreciation for everything that I've worked hard for, the things that have been given to me, the sacrifices that have been made for me and by me. Like, I have such an appreciation for it that nobody can dictate whether my life is good or not. The amount of money that I have can't really dictate how happy or how good my life is, because in any given moment, I can appreciate the smallest thing that requires nothing. I can go sit out in my backyard, sit in my damn grass, and watch my dogs smile at me and just be happy that we're all outside in the grass for this moment. And feel such peace and happiness in that. Because I have that, there have been times in my life where I have felt like, I'm good no matter what. Like, if I was to die tomorrow, I feel like I would have did what I was supposed to do here. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like there's so much more for me to do. But when you can appreciate the small things, when you can appreciate those moments, when you can appreciate nature, when you can appreciate beautiful days, rainy days, the days where the breeze hit right, when you can have small appreciation for those things, I feel like it enriches your life in a way that stops outside forces from dictating how good your life is. And that's a huge problem we have in this world nowadays, is allowing everything on the outside to dictate how we feel on the inside. So yeah, y'all, huge to me life lessons in this book. And it wasn't in the movie. And because of it, there is something lost in the messaging that was supposed to be given in this movie. We got it on some level, but in the book, it is hitting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is hitting hard. So Suge says she feel like singing. So she go down to the juke joint and, she sing. And we see Mr. sitting on his porch listening to the music from the juke joint and from the church at the same time in the distance. And I also felt like in the movie, it was showing that Mr. had found peace too. Like, the way he was just sitting on that porch, rocking back and forth, it was a level of peace to that as well, even with everything that had happened. Now, in the book, as I told y'all, Celie and Mr. formed a friendship over time, to the point where he even said, I can't believe I didn't realize how good a company you were, that you are. For all of these years that we were together, and I never realized how good a company you are. Because they would just sit and talk. So, y'all know this is the moment where she starts to sing and she hears, I think she hear her daughter singing at the church. And so she starts singing the, speak, Lord, speak to me. Oh, speak, Lord, I love you, Lord. You save my soul. Yeah, and you wonder why. Maybe God's trying to tell you something. Trying to tell you something. Maybe God. I want to cry. I'm trying not to cry. It's fucking on my singing. Trying to tell you something. Maybe God is trying. I hear you, Lord. I hear you, Lord. Maybe God is right now. Y'all, it always gives me chills. It always gives me chills no matter what. Oh my God. But the moment where she goes and she hugs her dad and she says, see, Daddy, sinners have song too. Soul, song, whatever. Because it sounds like she said song. But she says, sinners have souls too, Daddy. And she hugs him and he hugs her back. And the whole, it gets me every time, y'all. It don't matter how many times I watch that movie. When that fucking man hugged her back and the way everybody in the church was so happy to see them come together. It was just like, why did you shun her for this long if it made everybody happy to see you show her love again? Because a lot of times we act like we shun people for God, but you shun people because you feel embarrassed by the people around you, and you really shouldn't even care because you don't know what those people really feel or think, or what makes them think and feel the way that they do. But on some level, it felt like this man let the world affect how he loved his daughter. And when he finally loved his daughter back, everybody around them rejoiced in that moment. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, on some level, you didn't think that people would respond this way to you showing her love. So, then, you know, as the music plays out, we see Mr. go to his chicken coop and pull some of his money out of a secret spot and goes down to immigration and I guess helps Nettie and Samuel and everybody come back to America. I don't think it happened like that in the book. In the book, I think that Suge and them might have done something to help, but it wasn't very specific. Either way, they came and showed up, you know, on the property in the same way that they did in the movie. This part was very, you know, true, except for the fact that Mr. was a part of the people on the porch. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody who, you know, had formed this family together was at the house. And we see Mr. walking past in the background. But Mr. was a part of it. Mr. was happy to see it too. You know what I'm saying? In the book. And I hate that they left him out of it because I think it really left a lot of us feeling like men can't change. I think it made a lot of men feel like there's no space for them to change. So why change? I think they needed to see Mr. Change. I think they needed to see him work to get Celie's respect and love and admiration in some respect. We needed to see that. We needed to see him genuinely try to fix it. And then fix it for real. Not just go and put some money on it, but the way he would talk to her, the time they spent together. And that's something that I feel like is so important too when you think about it. The idea that this man could just go and spend money and fix this problem and then everything's all right in the world, that's a problem that we have in our community. Because really, Child, because I've been on here for 3 hours now, one of them didn't end it, child. I gotta get off of here. I've been on here too long. But this is the end of it anyway. But yeah, it definitely felt like y'all didn't want to show that this man had to do a lot of internal work in order to be welcomed back into the fold, into this family, into this love that he had. Because to me, at one point, it Suge, Mr. and Silly all in one house. And, you know, I guess you just decide who bed you gonna sleep in depending on how you feel that day. Which honestly, like them old people being happy and doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do on their land is heaven to me. As black people, that's some heaven shit. Let's see. Quincy Jones originally wanted Tina Turner to play Suge. Tina turned it down because of her real life trauma. I know that's right. This is the song I kept chanting for this pandemic to get it over past today. Still be here with y'all. I know that's right. But Mr. felt moved to do the right thing. It was implied, though symbolic. He was hiding her letters to help him bring Nettie home was huge. It was. He was hiding them letters. And that was very fucked up. And then him going to get it to save her definitely, you know, made it look better. But to me, I feel like it would have been better if they would have shown how he actually worked in their relationship to regain her trust. Because what I feel is that men don't know how to do that. They don't know how to put in the work emotionally to fix the bonds they've broken. And we needed to see that. But either way, child, y'all know the moment where they run up to each other finally after all of these years of being kept apart, not knowing what happened, you know, sharing their stories eventually. But Nettie and Silly get to run up to each other. Silly gets to meet her children finally, her 2 adult children. Adam and Tashi have married at this point and are adults. And, you know, Olivia is grown and smart and intelligent. You know what I'm saying? So she gets to see her children that were taken care of by her sister. And now, you know, Nettie is older and beautiful and married to Samuel. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way everybody's relationships dynamics changed over the years. Even when you look at Sophia and Harpo, you know, Squeak went from being jealous to being assaulted to help Sophia get out of jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times was everybody sharing a man or a woman, sharing a partner? And you know, in these days, y'all act like, you know, y'all be sharing niggas, but then y'all act like the knowledge of sharing motherfuckers is the worst thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? But in this book, the way these relationships were, you know what I'm saying? Like, just whatever it needed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like people need to learn to take some of the judgment and some of the shame out of the way they look at people's relationships. Because a lot of the times, life is just happening. Life is just happening. K-Rock, thank you for another super chat. I'm at work about to cry. Just what you talking about it. Ugh, y'all. Well, I'm glad that y'all enjoyed this long ass live. I don't know. But I'm so glad that it was 700 of y'all here. That's a lot of people on a Saturday for Now That We're Grown. So I appreciate y'all so much. I hope that y'all enjoyed this. I hope that y'all really got something from this like I did doing it and giving it to y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all weekend. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.